Yeah, I can't stand. I've got to sit because I've got headphones.
Yeah, that's right. I'll sit.
Can I hear Jeff also? Yeah.
Test 1, 2, 3, 4. So how's that? Where do we go? Just here? Is that good enough? Oh, okay. Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, I can hear. Yeah, mate.
So I can adjust that here, which I'll do.
Good morning and welcome to Spooner Oval in Forbes for this round 2 clash. A terrific day, a historic day in Country Rugby League with the Andrew Johns Cup to start the day, round 2 action, followed of course by the Laurie Daley Trophy. And I'm Jeff Mann and Michael Dumacy will be with me. We'll be keeping you company for the next couple of hours throughout the games. The referees are on the field ready to go, and Michael Dumacy, it's a great day for rugby league.
Good afternoon, Jeff. A beautiful day out here in downtown Forbes for rugby league. The field looks an absolute treat this afternoon, and looking forward to a excellent couple of games coming up between Western Division and also the Riverina Bulls.
Well, of course, this the home ground of the great Peter Kennedy, who partnered Mick Cronin in 1975 in the Country Rugby League. The last time I think that Country won the first championship, the City Country, when it was truly a country club, and Peter Kennedy is still talked about in glowing terms, and his young fellow Damien, who went on to play in Sydney, of course played all of his junior football on this very oval.
Yeah, the Kennedys are a name, being from out this way, the Kennedys are a name that certainly they come up in folklore, and every time you are over here at Forbes, Peter's always here, and he's a very parochial Forbes man, Peter, so yeah, it is a very historic ground here at Spooner Oval, and a couple of young blokes coming through, playing down in the under-20s comps and making their names. Joel Thompson from the Manly Warringah Eagles now. He was a junior here out in the Forbes areas, went to Redburn College here in Forbes, so there's been plenty of talent step foot out on this oval for sure, Jeff.
Absolutely, and of course Joel Thompson, having been through a couple of clubs, off to Manly this year. He was the Group 11 Player of the Year. Of course, the Western Rams, we can hear them below us here in the grandstand, are giving their last call before they go out. They'll be greeted by their Western Rams teammates from the under-18s and the under-23s who'll be playing later. Western Rams and the Riverina Bulls, and I'll allow you to take us through the team as Jack Hartwig from the Forbes Magpies, the little number 12, leads them out.
Jackie Hartwig, this would be a big day for him as he leads his Rams out, but as we go through the team in numerical order from number one, Tyler Colley from Bathurst St Pat's. Number 2, Aidan Nunn, Blaney Bears. Number 3 is Noah Ryan, he's from the Dubbo St John's Club. Number 4, Mason Pollock from Orange Bloomfield. Number 5, Cooper Monk from Orange Sims. Number 6, Riley Blackhall from the Wellington Cowboys. Number 7, Noah Griffith, he's from the Bathurst Panthers. Number 8, Harry Sullivan from the Oberon Tigers. Number 9, Josh Dominello from the Orange Sims team. Number 10, Charlie Holman, all the way from Burke, Jeff, from the Burke Warriors. Number 11, Blake Martin is from Bathurst and Pats. Jack Hartwig, number 12, who we just spoke about, he's the captain, local boy from the Forbes Magpies. Number 13, Jack Smith from the Redbank College, he's also a local. Number 14, Elijah Collis from the Wellington Cowboys. Number 15 is Marlon Pollock, a twin to Mason Pollock, he's from Orange Bloomfield. Number 16 is Rowan Hummer from the Bathurst Panthers. Number 17, Jaden Fisher from Bathurst and Pats, and number 18 is Cody Crisp, and he's the 18th man from the Park Spaceman.
And the Riverina Bulls coming off a 28-20 win over the Greater Western Sydney Tigers last week, led out by their 5/8 and captain Harrison Rudd from Leeton. Sebastian McDermott from Wagga Brothers is at fullback. Billy Sainsbury from South Sydney on 2. Daniel Trembath, Yanko Wamoon in 3. Jalen Burns from Wagga Brothers 4. Luke Salafia from Leeton is 5. Harrison Rudd from Leeton 6. Ethan Newman Young 7. Connor Tilopia from Yenda in 8. Billy Reardon Temora 9. Blake Coombs in 10. Ben Cronin from Wagga Kangaroos 11. Luke Stinkle from Tumut in 12. And we might just hold it there for a moment as the teams gather together, and there will be a moment's silence for the family of a young man from this area who died during the week. And just continuing on with the teams, looking again at the forward pack, Connor Tarpow from Yenda is in the front row. Billy Reardon Temora is the hooker. Blake Coombs from Young will play in 10. Ben Cronin from Wagga Kangaroos in 11. Luke Stinkle, Tumut 12. Liam Moon from Wagga Brothers in 13. The replacements, Joel Tracy from South Sydney in 14. Jake McGregor from Leeton 15. Tom McElhatton from Young in 16. Patrick Dwyer, Wagga Brothers 17, and Caleb Cameron Penny from Wagga Brothers is in 18. It looks like the Western Rams will kick off, and the kick taken by Tyler Colley, and they'll be running from the town side of Forbes as they kick deep and then up. And the reports from last week, Michael, were that they were a very good low tackling side, the Western Rams, coming up against Penrith Panthers. They won by 20-4 against a very experienced side. But I guess with Cameron Greenhalgh as one of the coaches, low tackling would very much be a part of their game.
Yeah, of course, Jeff. Cameron, well known, as we see a sloppy pass there from dummy half from Riverina, pounced on there by the back rower out there. That looks to be Luke Stankel as he takes the ball forward. Cameron Greenhalgh, a legend around the country rugby league now, of course, led the Western Division under-18s to a quite a comprehensive win there in the under-18s last year. So he's running the water there. I think he's got the blue shirt on as we see the 5'8 there from Riverina. Harrison Rudd put a kick down, taken well by Tyler Colley back in the field, Jeff, and the Western Rams are on the attack on the halfway on the second tackle.
Well, I think when you go into a match like this, if you can get through your first set and complete it with a kick, although it wasn't the greatest of kicks, it certainly gained them territory. So Western starting on their own side of halfway, they look to ruck it through their big pack of forwards. I would think a little fellow in at number 9 is Josh Dominello from Orange Sims. I'm not sure whether he's related to the Dominello who's in Parliament these years, but he's certainly going straight into the teeth of it there and taken just on 32 metres out right in front of the post as the Western Rams go to the left, and it's the halfback this time, Noah Griffith from Bathurst Panthers. He's put it high. It's given plenty of air and plenty of trouble for the fullback Sebastian McDermott from Wagga, but he's taken it away from his own line, got a good bounce, and is down now about 10-12 metres out from his own line.
Yeah, Western Division here we see, Jeff, they're really muscling up in defence and pinning the Riverina boys in the corner, but we see Luke Stankel take the ball here, and he's gone very well forward there, gaining about 10 metres. Riverina it's really important they get on the front foot here against this Western Rams side. They're coming in as Jack Hartwig comes up and makes a brilliant tackle there on the big front rower.
He's only a little man in the second row, isn't he? But the big prop forward, Blake Coombs from Young, took a little bit of putting down, and now it goes through to the second rower. It's the second rower, Luke Stankel, I think, takes that one forward, and he's tackled 40 metres out from his own line. Will they go again with the kick? They do, and where the last one was a high kick, this one a little flatter, but taken down just on his own quarter by Cooper Monk from Orange Sims, and he's tackled about 32 metres out.
Yeah, and we see the fullback jump into dummy half. They give it off to the young second rower there coming through, which was Blake Martin. He's tackled there as they come off the ball. We see the centre, Mason Pollock, make good yards through the middle here. Western Division seem to be targeting the middle here. Dominello passes it on to Hartwig. A nice little jig back in behind the ruck there as he's dominated right on the 40-metre line. This will be about the fourth tackle here for Western Division. They come back this side through Mason Pollock. Pollock making good ground. He's taken down on the last as we're looking for a kick here. Getting into first receiver there is the 5'8", Riley Blackhall. He's gone tall to the sky. Plenty of Western Division players chasing. The fullback has spilled it. It's play on for Western Division, and Riley Blackhall is going to score what looks to be the first try of the game. But we've got a bit of carnage here midfield, Jeff. It seems to be a bit of a head clash here between two players. The referee has awarded the try to Blackhall, the kicker of the ball, following through on his own kick, but we do have carnage here in the middle.
Yeah, referee Ryan Sweeney it was who awarded that try, and the Western Rams, twice they've kicked and twice it's almost paid off the first time, but the second time the fullback Sebastian McDermott not only put the ball down, but he looks like he ran into one of the charging players from the Western Rams. As I said last week, the Rams won by 20 points to 4 against Penrith Panthers, and both teams have so far collected their sets of 6. They've completed their sets, but it's paid off the second completed set for the Western Rams with a try by the man who kicked the ball, Riley Blackhall, over beside the posts. And now it's the halfback, Noah Griffith, who'll look to retain. But that little fullback from Riverina still on the deck.
Yeah, Jeff, it seemed to be the fullback from Western Division that come through and got him, so the two fullbacks coming together, but this isn't very good for the young fullback from the Riverina, young McDermott. He's still down on the deck. Young Tyler Colley's heading back towards his teammates. He seems to be okay, but it was a brilliant bit of play there from the Western Division team. They come right, and they seemed quite happy to be coming this way and putting the pressure on, and then a beautiful kick through from Blackhall resulted in an error, and he was Johnny on the spot to get the ball back as we just have a bit of time off here. It seems the 14's coming out on the field here for Riverina to take the fullback's place. No doubt
I'm not sure whether he'll be playing fullback, but certainly a bit of a change in size. Joel Tracy it is from South City, who is going out in the number 14 Guernsey. A lot of concern for the young fellow. Let's hope that it wasn't a head clash. Maybe they just ran into each other and down with taking the wind out of the sails. But Western Rams, they looked ready for business when they came out, didn't they? They got up in defence and restricted the Riverina boys to their own quarter for the first set of 6. And even though the kick went down the ground, Tyler Colley was on hand to catch and get it back, and they started their third tackle back in the opposition territory, and they've completed sets and they've been able to score a try. And now we see this young fellow Sebastian McDermott, we think it is, the fullback, coming from the field, and he's been replaced in about the 8th minute by number 14 Joel Tracy. Yeah, very unfortunate here for Sebastian. He's being let off. No doubt a HIA will definitely be in place here, but yeah, very disappointing. Only 8 minutes into the game, and he's been taken off. Very unfortunate for the young man this afternoon, but by the looks of things, Jeffy, he's in a bit of pain and probably will not be. Well, if they were doing a test, I'm not sure whether he'd know whether he's at Eric Weasel Oval or down in the Riverina somewhere. But once he gets here and clears the cobwebs, he'll discover that he is indeed at Spooner Oval in Forbes, where the first of our matches, thanks to Bar TV, bringing you this match right around the world, as the halfback now, Noah Griffith from Bathurst Panthers, settles himself. He can't miss him with the orange boots and puts it straight between the posts. The referee, Ryan Sweeney from Wollongong, blows the extra 2 points, and Western ahead by 6 points to 0.
Very clinical, this Western team, Jeff. Kurt Hancock has been around for a number of years within the Western Division. Before that, down around the NRL area, and he's a very astute coach, Kurt, and he'll have these boys right up for the challenge. As we see the halfback here from Riverina, which is Ethan Newham, nudge one down there. The kick hasn't gone overly far, so the halfback's going to have to take this, and he's off. He's straight through them, is Noah Griffith. He's made a break. He's popped it on back there. That seems to be to his lock there, which is Jack Smith, and he's going to be taken down on the halfway on the first tackle.
Well, that's not a bad gain from the first tackle. Taken on the fly once again. The second time we've seen the Western Rams take the ball on the fly, and now they're rucking it forward on the left-hand side of the field, up to 40 within 2 tackles. I wonder if they'll try and work their way down the left-hand side this time, and it's Griffith who goes, but I'm not sure whether the ball was ripped out. Obviously not. It was dropped, and now Riverina get a little bit of a breather.
Yeah, Kurt Hancock won't be happy with that. The first error of the game to the halfback from the Western Division area. He's just gone to chuck a dummy there, and the ball has been taken out. But this Western Division team are very quick off the line. They seem to be restricting the Riverina's time with the ball, as we see the second rower there come through, which is Ben Cronin, to be tackled there about 35 metres away from his own line. The ball comes out now to the front rower, which is pushing forward there, which is Connor Taupo. He's going to be tackled 40 from his own line, Jeff, and Riverina are on the front foot.
Well, here they go again, and they've come to the left-hand side this time, but it's the second rower wearing quite a big headband, Ben Cronin from Wagga Kangaroos. He's taken just to inside on the 4th tackle, and the ball now goes back across. It's the lock forward this time, surging through Liam Moon. Offloading, they're playing it close to their chest, but what's impressive in this first stanza of the match, Michael Dumacy, is the fact that both teams have completed and then made made their tackle come through, and again, ball taken on the full, and almost a breakaway on that left-hand side by Aidan Nunn from the Blaney Bears.
Yes, Jeff, the Western Division team are making plenty of ground off the kicks. Unfortunately for the Riverina boys, they're not getting through and putting plenty of pressure on those back three. That's something that they'll really have to work on as the game goes on, because these Western Division boys are on the charge again. They're only 35 metres out from the line, and they come back here to the big front rower, which is Harry Sullivan. He takes it up nice and hard, and they're set up out here on the right for something here, Jeff.
Anybody looking at geography, they'd see that young Sullivan is from Oberon, which is in the southern part of the Group 10 down in the Blue Mountains, and his opposite number, his a partner in the front row, Charlie Holman, would have travelled about 6 hours just to get here today from the Burke Warriors. But the referee now has taken the Riverina players back a couple of metres. They took it off their line, and there's a crashing tackle. That was a great collision there, a great contest by Jack Hartwig, probably the smallest of the 4 second rowers out there, but he hits well above his weight. And
another big hit from the 8.
Second rower there in Stenkel, is it? No, Cronin that's taken the ball forward, but not able to get out of their own quarter yet. Can they do something now? The Riverina boys just over their own quarter, and it's the lock forward, Liam Moon, who goes to ground, but a mistake. And you'd nearly have to say, apart from the try, that's the first mistake. The score 6-0 after about 13 minutes of this first half.
Yeah, Jeff, very disappointing there from the Riverina boys. They were just starting to build a bit of momentum out of their own end, and they've just invited the Western Division boys to play a bit of footy in their own end. That can be very dangerous when it comes to these sorts of games. The Riverina boys were doing well. They hadn't dropped the ball for all their sets, but now the Western Division boys are on the attack with a sweeping play out the back, and they've hit the winger. Oh, forward pass.
Whoa.
He was off to the winger from Western.
A slightly slower view of that one. It was certainly perfectly executed, wasn't it? The 6 Blackhall went in. He passed it to the one Josh Dominello playing at 9, which gave them the extra man, and it was the winger on the far side, Aidan Nunn, who's made 2 impressive strikes already, and he was through probably under the post. But now it's Riverina who get to take a breath and try and work the ball away from their own quarter. Unusually, the ball in and not in. It's come straight back out, and the referee wants it reset.
Jeff, that was a real let-off for the Riverina boys. They were going to be under plenty of pressure, and it looked to be a try for certain to the Western Division boys if that ball had been backwards. But off the hook here for the Riverina boys. They're set up in their own right as they come out towards their left-hand side, and we see the centre coming through here, and we have another spilt ball, Jeff. So we'll come back for another scrum. Things starting to get a little bit sloppy here, and hopefully these boys can hang on to the ball. We'd love to see the Riverina boys mount a bit of pressure here.
Well, Liam Moon it was that came out and created that bit of a half gaff, but just pushing the pass, and that's probably coming from the fact that they're a man down at the moment. They're starting man. They've still got 13 on the field, but with fullback Sebastian McDermott off the field injured, they might have just been wanting to create something on the first tackle, and it could cost them because Western going wide again on the left-hand side, and this time it's the centre that gets out there. Noah Ryan from Dubbo St John's, the home of Andrew Ryan, and he gets it back inside. It's the hooker this time, Josh Dominello, who goes to ground about 20 metres out. Western Rams leading 6-0 in the Andrew Johns Shield at Spooner Oval in Forbes, and Western again relentlessly. They have only dropped the one pass in their sets of 6 so far. They scored a try from a bomb, and now it's the big fellow with the don't argue, Charlie Holman from the Burke Warriors, and he's planted a couple of metres out. They go to the left-hand side. It goes wide, comes back inside. There's a desperation defence by the Riverina. The Bidgie Bulls holding out now. 4 tackles, 2 to go. It goes to the 5/8, and then there's the cutout pass, and this time jumping in from the far side of the field, it was the left winger Aidan Nunn. He gives it off to right winger Cooper Monk from Orange Sims, and they're certainly very impressive the way that they're throwing the ball around.
They're just making easy yards, Jeff. Unfortunately for the Riverina boys, the Western Division boys are getting plenty of ball and coming through the middle and earning the right to play out wide here through these backs. And they've got some very speedy and exciting backs, that's for sure, as we see. The kick is going to have to taken here from the sideline, but 10-0 to the Western Rams with about 16 minutes to go here in the first half.
Well, it's very interesting that the man that will be presenting the medal in this competition at the end of the competition, the man Tom Nelson in the under-18s, that his son Marty Nelson, playing for Dubbo Sims here in 2001, had a kick from almost the same spot to win the grand final. It was one of the worst kicks you've ever seen. It wobbled and it twisted and it went side from side, but it did get over the black dot, and Dubbo Sims defeated the Forbes Magpies, much to the chagrin of the locals. Last time we saw the kick taken by the halfback Noah Griffith. This time it's the fullback Tyler Colley who's up, and I'll let you take us through it.
He's got a beautiful angle here, Jeff. He's about 21 metres out, and he steps through Collie. He's hit it quite well, just waved away to the right here. So the scores will remain 10-0 to Western Division. About 15 minutes left to go, so we're a quarter of the way through the game. Cameron Green out there in the blue shirt, looking nice and fit and ready to go for his country sojourn halfway through the year. It's not every day you get the country coach running the tee for you, but that seems to be the thing here today. But what wisdom he'd bring to a team like this when he's out there barking orders.
Well, he was certainly a very tough second rower and a great little tackling second rower or lock for the Forbes Magpies. The man beside him is interesting in the yellow shirt. They're running for the Western Rams. He's a newcomer to the Western Rams, indeed to the Oberon Tigers, and that's Josh Starling, who has come straight from the NRL out to Oberon this year as a penalty goes to the Western Rams. And to compound the problems that they've had holding this Western Rams defence, Riverina driven back almost to halfway, and this will be the first set for the Western Rams.
Here we go, the Rams are on the attack again. We have seen our first change for the day. The big number 10 for the Western Rams has come off, Charlie Holman. He's been replaced here by number 15. That seems to be Marlon Pollock. Marlon Pollock playing up into the front row as we see the big second rower here, Blake Martin, take one off the first tap, and he's met about 30 metres away from the Riverina line as the ball comes back out here through to Marlon Pollock. He's a big, tall lad, this fella. He's getting over the top of them with the headgear on, and we see Western Rams set up out here to the right again, Jeff.
A front row and a centre in the Pollock family, and I know which one is getting the most of the food around the table. It's the big fellow Marlon that's just come on, and Western Rams again. They go for a dart out of dummy half. Too easy, that one, for the Western Rams. They've scored beside the post, third try coming in the first quarter of the game, and I think it's pointing very much to the reason that the Western Rams defeated the Penrith Panthers 20-4 last week. They're already out now to 14 points to 0.
Yeah, just having a look who scored that try. It seemed to be the 14 that seems to be out on the field, which is Elijah Collis. Elijah Collis has scored that try right next to the post, and the Rams are just making easy yards. Riverina keep compounding on top of themselves, Jeff, by a few little silly mistakes and then a penalty here and there, and the Rams are getting every chance to play football in their own end.
Well, certainly points are on offer for them at the moment. There's not a lot of wind about. It's reasonably humid, and it would be a very warm day in the early 30s if there wasn't a little bit of cloud cover. But leading now 14-0, it should be 16-0 in a moment as Tyler Collier is coming up to try and convert the try scored by Elijah Collis from the Wellington Cowboys. Takes his time, a little bit of a settler. The left footer comes into the ball now, and boot to ball. Flags go up, and Western out to a 16 points to 0 lead.
Yes, Jeff, interesting to see the two touch judges here today. Very good to see young Shanika Harper and Dennis Forster, two young budding referees throughout the Woodbridge Cup competition, given a chance to come out here in a representative match and strut their stuff. So that's very good to see two young budding referees here this afternoon.
Jeff Mann and Michael Dumacy broadcasting through Bar TV right around the world, thanks to SLE Worldwide Australia, a major sponsor of the competitions, the Andrew Johns Cup for Country Rugby League under-16s, Anytime Fitness, Victor Sports, and of course Bar TV Sports, bringing this wherever you're listening, whether it's in Reykjavik or in Helsinki, you might be somewhere up in Russia or even in Asia, Bangkok or Beijing, listening and watching this game as the Western Rams take the ball away and just their second tackle and almost back to halfway again, Michael Dumacy.
Yeah, the Rams are just making easy yards here. They're sweeping out the back through the half-back here. He's hit the second rower short. That is Blake Martin. They just seem to be getting to those edges, Jeff, and making very easy yards as we see young callers take it here from dummy half. And the halfback there, Noah Griffith, dabs one in here. The winger's under immense pressure and taken down just short of his own line. And we see the Western Rams, this clinical defence of putting them back into the corners and getting up off the line and not giving Riverina any room to breathe.
Well, the Riverina winger did very well there just to keep the ball in play. It certainly gives them pressure, but they're coming away from their own line now. They need to go back to the basics like they've done now. Those first three tackles, just taking it forward. One of the big men there carrying it forward, and it's another one of the big men coming forward this time and getting them up to about 38 metres out from the line. This time they go a little wider. Let's hope that they don't look to push it too much, but it's a kick. It's come off the side of the boot. It's going to be a good bounce. Yes, it is. An excellent bounce for the 5'8" Harrison Rudd, who skips away but then is chased down by Tyler Colley, the fullback, and on the last tackle, something creative, and the bounce went their way. The Western Rams forced to tackle in front of their own posts.
Yeah, definitely, Jeff. A little bit of individual brilliance there from the 5'8" in Harrison Rudd. He dabbed it in over the top, got the right bounce. Now the Riverina get a chance to play down the Western Rams end and hopefully try and jam them in here. They'll be looking to pin them into their own area, but the Rams seem to be making this easy ground through the middle as we see an offload there from the centre, which was Mason Pollock out to the halfback, Noah Griffith, and the Rams are on the charge again as the dummy half scoots away. Here's the big fella from the bench, Marlon Pollock, taking the ball up to within the halfway on the third tackle, and the Rams, they're just making easy ground as they come out here again through who is Blake Martin. Blake Martin making easy yards. Riverina, yeah, he's been very impressive, Jeff, and this Rams team are an impressive attacking and defensive unit. They're an all-round package.
Well, Marlon Pollock has certainly made the most of his time on the field, coming on to replace, it was Charlie Holman from Burke, and he's been heavily involved in the play. This time they go wide again. It's centre Mason Pollock. I said before, one a prop and one a centre, but if I was Mr. or Mrs. Pollock, I don't know that I'd be like to be feeding either of them for the week, because they're both big boys. One playing in the centres, that's Mason Pollock, and his brother, twin brother, Marlon, playing in the front row.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to say they're Woolies Bill every week, Jeff, that's for sure, but the boys are doing a great job getting up off the line here, the Western Division boys, and really meeting the Riverina attack as they make their way through the centre of the field. Jack Hartwig over the top, but he's offside, so we see the first penalty of the afternoon to the Riverina there with the second rower, Jack Hartwig, caught offside there.
Patrick Dwyer it was, and he's got his own fan club here. We heard them yelling out there, "Go Paddy," but he ran into a strong tackle, but it brought a penalty, and now probably for the first time in the match, we're going to see the Riverina boys get a back-to-back set. They really do need to take this one down, get deep, and maybe try and force a second play. That wasn't exactly what they were looking for. They were a little bit of miscommunication, and Liam Moon good enough to catch onto it and take the ball 10 metres forward.
Yeah, pushing forward here, the Riverina boys. They really need to get up here and try and put some points to the board as they start to make a way out to their own right side through the big front rower here, and he's bumping and pushing, that being young Connor Tapau. He's really a powerful young man, Jeff, coming through the middle there. He's been out there for the whole 23-odd minutes so far, as we see the big second rower here, the 11, which is Ben Cronin with the long hair, come through the middle here. They're setting up for something here, Riverina. There could be points, Jeff, on the horizon.
Well, it's been an impressive setup for them, and there it is. Dwyer again takes the ball forward and stands and offloads, and now they throw it wide, but it's gone down, picked up by Marlon Pollock. It's a Mason Pollock out in the centres, and the Western Rams. Well, let's hope that they don't make them pay for this, but as a mistake that they didn't need, that was on the 5th tackle or the 4th tackle, they would have been looking for one more and then kicking into touch.
Definitely, Jeff, but there is signs of something here for the Riverina boys. They're really starting to come into their own as the half gets longer and longer, and they definitely have some points in them. As a little hooker there goes for a dart, that being Josh Dominello. He come out, and here comes Corliss from Wellington now, and he's got that Wellington speed. Jeff, he's off.
Absolutely, gives it away,
young
and there's
Jack
the
Smith
lock forward. And I think that's a combination that you're going to be seeing a lot in rugby league in Group 11 and Western Rams colours. It was the little fellow from Wellington Cowboys, Elijah Collis, who took the ball away, and the lock forward didn't need any inviting. Jack Smith pinned the ears under the post. No doubt he'll be running around with the Forbes Magpies in the under-18s as well as the under-16s this year.
No doubt, Jeff. And how often do you see that from a Wellington Cowboy darting through the middle, plenty of speed around the ruck, and that's the way the Wellington Cowboys play. And like I said, a true Wellington style, Wellington speed, and he put his lock away for a beautiful try.
Well, of course, that came about from a mistake made on the 4th tackle on their second set of 6, having won a penalty. Riverina took the ball down. They were only 20 metres out from the Western Rams line. They'd made 4 good tackles, but a driving defence, a lost ball, and the Western Rams, within the next set of 6, are able to run the ball almost from halfway when young Collis got out of dummy half, and now they find themselves up by 20 points. 2-0, should be 22 in just a moment when Tyler Colley comes up, and he'll be looking to hit up his second goal of the afternoon.
We just see a few replacements here from the Western Rams boys also. Young Jackie Hartwig coming off the field, the captain for a rest. Cody Crisp comes into the game, a young man that's come through the Parks Juniors, and he looks to be slotting in out on the wing. And also there's been another replacement there. We will get back to that for the Western Rams, but the captain, Hartwig, given an early rest.
Yeah, well, he's certainly played well, hasn't he, young Hartwig? He's not big, but he's a very strong second rower, and he's led the way in defence. And no doubt David Elvey from the Western Rams, former Penrith Panther, played a lot of football in Bathurst Panthers as well, is one of the men on the sideline guiding the fortunes of the Western Rams as they take it away again.
From Holman.
Charlie Holman, who's back out there, the big boy from Burke. He wouldn't like to be taken off, but the rest won't do him any harm because he's had a little bit of a breather, a bit of a drink on this warm day at Spooner Oval in Forbes, and Western Rams on their second tackle now come down this short side again, and it's the little fellow that set the last try up, Elijah Collis from the Wellington Cowboys, up over 40 metres, just over the red zone. And again, it is out there now, and it's the big centre, isn't it? The Mason Pollock from Orange Bloomfield, the club of the year last year in Country Rugby League, the Bloomfield Juniors. As this time it's a nice little chip coming from the halfback. They really do try and determine whether they're a halfback or a 5/8, don't they? They like to, a hooker or a 5/8. They intersperse and they don't mind a little bit of a kick.
Yeah, definitely, Jeff. We've seen all the kicking coming from the two halves, and they just changed things up a little bit there with the hooker, young Dominello, dabbing one in behind them. And here we go again with this Rams defence. The Riverina being pinned into their own corner as young Cody Crisp comes to the middle of the field. He's not very big, but he's very keen to get in there and make a few tackles, and that's what you need with a fresh defence.
Well, he certainly wasn't phased by his opposite number there, Joel Tracy, I think it is. Is it the big forward that came forward? No, it was young Connor Tapau who had the ball, and this time they go out wide again. They're looking up to get the numbers. The pass goes wide to the winger Billy Sainsbury, steps back inside and then kicks the ball, and again in perfect position the custodian for the Western Rams, Tyler Colley, takes it and still going. Colley gets it away on the far side to that flyer Aidan Nunn from the Blaney Bears, and he's just over halfway again. So if you were taking a stat on this, Michael, you'd be nearly talking 70-30 in terms of positional play on the field, with the Western Rams mostly, we're in the grandstand on halfway, but mostly we're looking through our right eyes.
Yeah, definitely, Jeff. All the balls been down in the Riverina defensive, and the Western Division boys have been relentless, as we see little Dominello going through the middle here. It's been the little men coming through the middle and looking to sniff for some ball. That's where most of the points have come from, as we see young Collis go from dummy half again here. He's been taken down and put into touch eventually. They chance their arm out wide there, Jeff, but to no avail.
Yeah, might have just gone, that'd be one of the few mistakes that they've made. I thought young Collis maybe thought that he had the legs to go on his own, but he's only slight, and he was well picked up by the defence and thrown over the sideline. And the clock counting down, we're about 3 minutes, is it? 2 minutes away from
1 minute
half-time.
and 50 seconds.
Okay, so I think Riverina will be looking to minimise the damage with this one. They'll need a set of 6. They won't want to give the ball back to the Western Rams to add to their points tally of 20 at this stage. But they looking to run it. They've gone straight across in front of their own post, and on the first tackle taken down 12 metres out.
Yeah, Jeff, the Riverina boys needed this, as the sun really seems to be beaming down out there, quite warm. A very big crowd there here in Forbes, a great little football community. If they put a game on of any stature, they're always around, the Forbes guys, to come down and have a watch. Of course, later on in the day, Group 11 take on Castlereagh in the under-18s and also the Opens ladies tackle, and we have a 23s Western Division Riverina game also later on. They won't be televised, but some cracking games to come later in the day, Jeff.
Certainly, and on Bar TV you can catch all the action wherever you're listening around the world. If you're up there and subjected to the Siberian beast, well, we're certainly not subjected to anything Siberian out here. It's at the opposite end of the scale. I think it's up around 30, 31 degrees, as Western Division will get one last shot at it, and can they score a long-range try to add to the 20 points that they've picked up so far. Cooper Monk out of dummy half gets it up over the halfway line. They're into the third tackle, and again Dominello out of dummy half, a little jink and a second jink to the left. He's taken now 30 metres out. Will they go again through the little fellow? And he went on the left-hand side into touch, and this time Collis is taken down, but stays in the field of play, and Western through the big man Holman from Burke. He's taken well by his opposite number. A good tackle, trying to hold them down, but he gets up and plays the ball, and what will probably be the last play of the half, it goes wide for the Western Rams. The fullback Colley is into space and then flags it out to Aidan Nunn from the Blaney Bears, and once again Western Division showing their skills, their ability to be able to turn defence into attack.
There's only one word for it, Jeff, and that's clinical. Kurt Hancock has got this team fully screwed down for today, and they have been nothing but clinical here in the first half, with the try right on the half-time siren, as we hear the siren go off, and that'll take Western Division out to 26-0 with a kick to come. And look at those two blokes out there running the water for Western Division. A lot of knowledge out there, and it seems to be rubbing off here.
Cameron Greenhalgh in the blue, and of course Josh Starling, as I said, the big man that's come out of the NRL to play with Oberon this year. He's a huge man. I was standing beside him in the sheds before we came out, and the Riverina boys, it has to be said that right at the start of the game, Sebastian McDermott, the fullback, had a collision attempting to take a high bomb, and he hasn't recovered. He's still sitting on the sideline, and even though we're a little distance away from him, I don't think we're going to see him back on the field for the rest of this game, as the fullback Colley, who laid off the last pass to Aidan Nunn, goes back on the far side of the ground. We're in the grandstand at Spooner Oval in Forbes, thanks to SLE Worldwide Australia, Anytime Fitness, Victor Sports, and here on Bar TV. We'll be taking a break in just a moment as the halftime siren has already gone. Collie taking his time from the sideline. Left boot to ball. It's long, it's high, and it hits the post, Michael Dumacy. So at halftime, quickly through those try scorers, Aidan Nunn, Riley Blackhall, Jack Smith and Elijah Collis all scoring tries, a goal apiece to Riley Blackhall and Aidan Nunn in the first half. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. Welcome back. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome to Spooner Oval in Forbes, where the first of our gala day of rugby league matches is taking place, and we're seeing a fairly exhausted, I won't say completely run ragged, but a team trailing 26-0 at half-time. The Riverina Bulls making their way back out. It's a day in which the cloud is around, but all that's doing is, I think, trapping the heat. It's probably up in the early 30s now, the heat here at Spooner Oval in Forbes in the first of the games, the Andrew Johns Cup, the under-16s, and Western Rams leading at half-time after running in 4 tries, including one right on the stroke of half-time to left-winger Aidan Nunn from Blaney. Riley Blackhall from Wellington scored the first try, and then Elijah Collis, his teammate who came on as a replacement. He's a will-o'-the-wisp little fellow, darted out of dummy half, and then had a huge hand in another try when Jack Smith backed up from Forbes Red Bend College, the lock forward, after Elijah Collis had taken the ball just inside his own half, busted his way through, and then found the big Forbes Red Bend lock forward beside him, and he was over underneath the post. And then the last try coming just before half-time. Mistakes have been costly for Riverina. They lost their fullback in about the 8th minute of the game, Sebastian McDermott, when he was subjected to a couple of very high bombs, and he came across in front of his own post. In attempting to take the bomb, he crashed into his opposite number, Tyler Colley, coming through for the Western Rams. Unfortunately, he was down and not completely out, but I've been down to the sideline to check on young Sebastian McDermott, and it seems as though he has braces, and he had his mouth guard on, of course, but he got a double whammy. The teeth have escaped the braces and gone up into the top of the mouth, and maybe from that brace it's actually had a little bit of a cut in his mouth. So he's out of the game, so they're playing now with a reduced lineup, but the fellow that replaced him, Joel Tracy from South City, has come on. Now the Western boys, they know this ground, and under the tutelage of Kurt Hancock, the coach, they're taking a little bit of extra time in the sheds. They chose to go to the sheds, whereas the Riverina boys stayed outside. The round one of this Andrew John Shield, Riverina Bulls beat the Greater Western Sydney Tigers 28-20, while the Western Rams had a very impressive 20 points to 4 over the win over the Penrith Panthers, and they lead at half-time by 26 points to 0. Michael Dumacy's back with me. Mick, how did you see that first half? The dominance of Western Rams, of course, but some good signs at stages for the Riverina boys.
Yeah, definitely, Jeff. The Western boys, like I said, just before half-time, very clinical, got up off the line when they needed to, and they seem to be just making plenty of ground through the middle, especially through their little guys. The hooker, Dominello, and Collis from Wellington, making plenty of yards through the middle, and they're playing to, or they're giving themselves to play the right to play wide later in the set, and that's where their points are coming from. I thought the two twins were quite good for the Western Rams, both the Pollock boys, Marlon and Mason. Thought they were quite impressive, and from the Riverina point of view, I think they showed plenty of glimpses of something there within the half. They'll work towards it in the second half. I'm sure their coaches got them at half time and really told them to work towards something, at least put some points on the board and so on and so forth. But I thought the Riverina boys, just when they were starting to build, a few little things let them down, but into this second half I'm sure they've been set a task to work towards some points.
Well, up front I think Connor Tapau's taken plenty of tackling, but it was the opposite number in the second row. Jack Hartwig, one of the smallest, probably the smallest of the second rowers at least on the field, and he seemed to make Big Connor his target and was standing in front of him every time that he came forward. Blake Coombs, the other prop forward, has taken it forward on a couple of occasions, and Ben Cronin, who has long hair and a lot of headband around it to try and hold it back. Liam Moon, the lock forward, has been good, and we saw one little piece of magic by Harrison Rudd, the 5'8", a chip and chase, and it almost led to a try.
Yeah, definitely, Jeff. There is something there. the Western Division boys don't want to switch off. That'll be their main key, is not to switch off here in the second half. Plenty of teams can do it. They think they've got the game well and truly sewn up, and then all of a sudden it's the other teams back in the game. So Western will need to be as clinical as they were here in the first half, and really keep charging up at the line as they take the field again here for the second half.
Well, a very warm afternoon wherever you're listening around the world, thanks to SLE Worldwide Australia, the major sponsor of the Country Rugby League Juniors, as the kickoff comes in the second half. Anytime Fitness, Victor Sports, and of course here on Bar TV Sports, as Western Rams, almost a mistake-free. It wasn't totally mistake-free, but a very solid first half, and they started in good fashion, completing their first set of 6, and they'll be looking to do the same again.
Yeah, definitely, Jeff. We've seen Big Holman come off the dead ball line there and really go forward. As we said, little hooker come through with a run in Dominello, taken a little bit high. The boys are claiming, but the referee said it's fine. As we see Collis go from dummy half here again. This has been their bread and butter, Jeff. Their little men through the middle as Dominello picks him up again. He's off and gone. Dominello, he's straight through the middle, back to Collis. Collis has got plenty of speed, a little bit of strength too, and once again, 20 metres away from the line and attacking the Western Rams.
And the Western looking to come wide. I think this time they're a little bit short over here, the defence, but the ball's been chipped through by Blackhall just behind the CRL tent, but has been saved down there on the wing by Luke Salafia, and he's tackled and then gets up, and it's one of the centres this time. They haven't had a lot of work to do. Daniel Trembath, it is, from Yenko, who brings it forward and has taken it out. And the second rower, I mentioned he had a lot of hair. He's got a lot of tape around that hair, and that second rower, Ben Cronin, again, he's shown plenty willing right throughout the game.
Yeah, he's probably been Riverina's best, or right up there as one of Riverina's best, as young Cronin along with the front rower there in Tapau. As they're trying here, Riverina. They're trying to get through the middle here and do something. But once again on the 30-metre line, they're having to kick on the last, and this is going to be easy metres here for the Western Rams as they bring it off their own line. Yeah, well, it's a good chase by Riverina, and in fact, you'd be delighted, wouldn't you, if you were the winger that comes through, and Luke Salafia claims his opposite number there, Cooper Monk. It's always good when you're one-on-one with your opposite number and you pull him down. Yeah, definitely, Jeff. As we see, the Western Rams are off here again through the fullback collie. They're just making easy yards. The little men are just jinking and stepping around as they come back through here through the big fella, which is the centre, Mason Pollock. He's been really impressive, really hard to put on the deck. He's still going here. They're only on the 4th tackle here, Jeff, 30 metres out, and they're set up out here to the left-hand side. Hard to believe they're only 16 years of age, or some of them only 15 years of age, as Griffiths, it is, comes forward, gets a lovely pass away. They lost a try in the first half for a forward pass, and I think the referee would have had a little look at that one, but it was the second rower there in Blake Martin who's pulled down a couple of metres out, and again it's to the halfback, this time kicking through. The chase is on, and it's been run dead by the Riverina boys, who'll kick out from underneath their own half. Again, 2 sets of tackles. The first one they got to 6, they kicked through. The second set they got to 6, and they've got a repeat set from under the posts of the Riverina boys. Yeah, again, Jeff, it comes down to that pushing forward as a team. The halfback didn't have many options there. He gave a short ball to the second rower, being Blake Martin. Hasn't he been ultra impressive today? As we see the Rams come back through. Holman here, good set of hands there from Holman. He's been very strong through the middle. The boy from Burke, what a story, all the way down here in Forbes, playing for the Western Division, and it just shows it doesn't matter where you live within the Western Division. If you can play footy, they'll pick you. Rambo Gibbs territory. Ronnie Gibbs grew up playing for the Burke Warriors. In fact, he was number 17 when the under-18s won the grand final. Couldn't even make it into that side. One of the best to come out from here. This time the Western Rams come to the left, and on the back of that good strong run on the far side of the field by Holman, has come to the left, and I think it's the fullback has run in Young
for
Collie.
his second try, Tyler Colley. So he's had a busy day. He's been tested a couple of times, and what impressed me in the very first set of 6 that Riverina took the ball out from their own line, it was Colley racing up, catching the ball on the full, and immediately set his side back into attack. So the rewards have come for the fullback from Bathurst St Pat's.
Bathurst St Pat's a breeding ground of some very, very good players. Kurt Hancock would have had a lot to do with young Collie being there at Bathurst St Pat's. He would have had his eye on him for a long time and done a little bit of close work with him. But he's an outstanding talent, this fullback. I think he's relinquished the kicking duties here to the halfback, which is Noah Griffith from the rival Bathurst Panthers, but coming together today and binding under the one code.
And it is a young fellow that's, I think in the tradition of some very good halfbacks that have come out of the Western Rams in the last few years. This little fellow, Noah Griffith, has been very busy. He's got some talented players around him, but he's been there calling the shots when the little men have taken it out of dummy half and given them some go forward. He's been the one that's been calling the shots. This time puts the ball on the end of the toe. It's out to the left-hand side, so they haven't converted all their tries, but they lead by 30 points to 0 here in the second half. The first game of the day. It's a magic program that we have set out for the rest of the day too, Michael, with the Laurie Daley Cup. Same two teams, Western Rams and Riverina. And then there's an under-23s trial coming up at 2:45. 4:30, it's the second round of the Western Women's Rugby League. That's the round 2 action. The under-18s ladies tackle game 9-a-side, Group 11 and Castlereagh. And of course at 5:15, the Western Women's League opens ladies tackle Group 11 and Castlereagh, and that's something new for Country Rugby League to be playing tackle football on a regular basis.
Yeah, for sure, Jeff. A very strong competition, that ladies' comp. I think it'll be the most progressive sport out here in years to come, if it already isn't, as we see the big centre here, which is Mason Pollock, doing plenty of damage. Jeff, every time he's got the ball, he's made 20 metres, this kid. You wouldn't think he was only under 16. He's a man mountain, and probably a name to be watching out for in the future as they swing it left again.
And it's the fullback again, Collie, almost copying a big hit there, but he's managed to stand, and that's been a feature of the Western Rams. They've been able to stand in tackles and offload, and the centre, Noah Ryan from Dubbo St John's Club, a very famous Ryan. I don't know that he's related to this one, but Andrew Ryan came out of the St John's Club, as did Dean Pay, who, of course, is coaching the Canterbury Bulldogs this year, but Noah Ryan making a good, and they've offloaded, and again, Martin, the second rower, I think it is, that's tackled about 15 metres in. And the halfback again, Griffiths, looking this time to dribble through. It was a very ineffective kick, but taken by the fellow I think that you said before was probably the man of the match so far for the Riverina Bulls, the boy from Wagga Kangaroos, Ben Cronin.
Yeah, for sure, Jeff. He's been very busy today. Don't forget Isaiah Yeo from the Dubbo St John's. He's a Penrith Panthers starting back rower. He's from there, so a very good club for nurturing footballers through, or a very good school for nurturing footballers through. And a young kid that come out of the under-18s Western Division side last year, Matt Burton, doing good things for the Penrith Panthers down there at the moment. So plenty of talent coming out of Dubbo St John's.
Well, I know there'd be plenty of talent scouts watching this today, and they'd be putting names in if they haven't already. It's through the academies, it's through the marvellous coaching plans and pathways that have been created in Country Rugby League that enable these boys to come through. They're training throughout the off-season. They're travelling huge distances. I know down in the Riverina you've got them from various places, but I don't know that anyone travels as far as young Holman, who travels from Burke. That's Charlie Holman, the prop forward. He's got at least 4 hours just to get to Dubbo, where most of the training is held, let alone if he comes down to a training run at Parks or Forbes. But Riverina cashing in here, hoping to cash in with a try after a mistake made, one of the rare ones on the far side of the field by the Western Division winger, and they come it down the right-hand side, and I think it's the centre, is it Jalen Burns from Wagga Brothers, who busts through.
Yeah, Jeff, Riverina really need to cash in here if they want to keep their noses in the game, but the little centre there, he's had the ball stripped away from him, and here come Western Division again. They're just not banking their checks, unfortunately, Jeff, with the Riverina. Just little things going wrong, but they are getting up off their line very, very quickly, the Western Division boys.
Well, he was up a little high there. I don't think anything intentional in that, but just trying to put the man on the ground, and he certainly put the man on the ground. The old saying, they can't run without heads. I don't think there was any malice in it, but the player is up and about and back on his feet, and Western again finding themselves inside the 30, and these tired Riverina defenders will have plenty of work to do.
Have a look for Collie here, Jeff. He's set up out the back here. I think there'll be a sweeping play if they don't score before that out to Collie here. He's just sweeping, directing people into place, and Blackhall the 5/8 here, just pushing people in and getting them where he needs them to be. They're set up here out the right.
And Charlie Holman, and it's Harry Sullivan takes the ball forward. Now it's a little halfback come hooker. I call him a halfback because he plays like a halfback, but Josh Dominello, the hooker, this time instead of setting up the play, just sees, darts, goes and is over underneath the post. 34 points to nil, kick to come.
Yeah, Jeff, hopefully the floodgates don't start to open up here. The Riverina boys really need to stick in here and keep this score to a reasonable tally. But Dominello, he's been devastating through the middle there. He's not very big. He's quite short and quite stocky, but just does his job there from hooker. A good little build for a hooker just to get in and around the ruck. And, yeah, they need to be down to his size to tackle him sometimes.
Well, I think he's playing off the back of a team that's going forward every time. They're bending the defenders every time they have the ball, and of course if you're playing half or hooker and you're coming up and being able to take the ball forward off the back of that, you're getting tired big forwards going backwards, but you've still got to have the vision and you've still got to have the strength to power through, and he did that underneath the post. It's the halfback again. No, it's not. It's back to the fullback now, Tyler Colley, who's already scored a try, kicked a couple of goals, and he says, I'll take this one. I don't want them from the side, but I'll take this one from right in front of the post. He's back there now and takes his time. 1, 2, 3, goal, makes it 36-0, and the little captain there, Jack Hartwig, I see the coach has an arm around him, and he's going to sit in the tent for a little while and have a bit of a rest, because he's been very busy leading the team and particularly driving forward in attack.
Yeah, definitely, Jeff. They're just going to preserve these players by the look of it and use them as they need them. Kurt Hancock would be quite aware that there is other games as Holman brings it back. He's been quite good, Holman. They keep kicking to his side, and he just says, give me some more ball because I'm going forward, and that's the way he's been playing his football, and it's a good way to be as we see Western Division just making easy yards through the middle here. They're set up out to the left-hand side here again, and the halfbacks commanding for ball, although they go to the other side with Dominello being taken down 40 from his own line.
Well, they're down next week to play on the coast, and they'll be hoping that there's a cooler breeze that blows off the coast down at Illawarra, the South Coast Dragons and the Western Rams. At
we see the Rams off again.
This time it's wind coming off the feet of the left winger Aidan Nunn. He's taken into touch, so good defence coming across, and that's a prop forward. Not a bad effort from a prop forward from young Blake Coombs to come across and nail a winger. So that's the desperation, but they've just been outskilled, I think, today.
Yeah, the Riverina, they've played with plenty of heart, Jeff. They've been wanting to get to the tackles and getting across and making them. They haven't given up so far. It's just they've been deprived of a little bit of ball in good ball territory. And when you start making little mistakes, you start to get tired, as the referee has called for a blood bin by the look of it.
Yeah,
we've
little
got
fellow
a blood
that came
bin
across, I think it might be one of the wingers, is it, that is spitting chips out on the side. Unfortunately, in the first half, Riverina Bulls lost their fullback Sebastian McDermott from Wagga Brothers. He's only a little man, and he was peppered in the first few minutes with a couple of bombs, the second one of which he was unable to hold, but then in a running on went into a collision with his opposite number, Tyler Colley. Tyler Colley got back to his feet and played a starring role, and unfortunately Sebastian McDermott has been taken from the field and I think possibly taken from the ground now. He had a lacerated mouth, a result, I'm told, from the coaching staff of some braces that he had being pushed forward when he had that collision. And now there's some breathing space for Riverina. At 36-0 down, you need every minute you can get to suck in the breath and kick the ball out to the sideline and hopefully drive down into the territory and aim for a second repeat set.
Yeah, Jeff, the Riverina boys here need to give themselves every chance. The Western Division coach wouldn't be happy with that. A little let off in their own territory, even if they are up by 36 points. They don't need that. They need to be staying on top of things, and we see the Riverina boys on the attack now, 40 from the western line.
Joel Tracy, it was, taking it up there, the replacement. He came on at 14, and now the second rower, whose family is sitting here beside us in the grandstand, and Patrick Dwyer from Wagga takes the ball forward. He's tackled 35 metres out in front of the post. A wide pass didn't go directly to hand, but no damage done, although they're going to finish up probably a couple of metres in deficit after, again, Holman forward there, who's been strong in both attack and defence all day, making every minute count, the boy from Burke, when he gets down here and gets onto the field. He looks pretty fit. He's a big boy, and it's very hot out there, but the Riverina boys now looking to put some points on the board, and the Western Rams looking to keep their try line intact. They conceded just one try last week against the might of the Penrith Panthers, as this time it's the halfback kicks through. It's scooped up at the back by Colley, who gets back into the field of play. He's held up, and if he's driven back into his own field of play, then all
looks like a game
credit
of rugby, Jeff.
to the Western Rams. Yes, if it was a game of rugby, they'd be looking to get a 5 metre scrum, but of course it's league. He did get back into the field of play, but there's a bit of zing in that defence now by the Riverina boys.
And then they're numbering up really here, being led by the big number 11 here, Ben Cronin, definitely one of the standouts here for Riverina. He's come in, he has a bit of a Krusty the Clown sort of a haircut as the ball's off through the middle here, and taking forward here is the 5/8 Blackhall. He steps back on the inside, he's wrapped up. Very good desperation defence there from the Riverina boys as Western Division are on the attack. Dominello gets the ball, he's having a look, sizing up his options, gives it out here to Griffiths. Griffiths is going himself, and he's going to score a very easy try in the end, and that's pretty disappointing for the Riverina boys after that good set of defence up until about the third tackle.
He's not unlike the big 5/8, the big halfback for Manly, is he? For the Manly Seagulls, Cherry Evans. He's tall, he's sprightly, and at that time the big dummy, and then he went through and he's picked up a try that he richly deserved. At the other end of the field, the fellow that we've been certainly providing plenty of commentary for, Tyler Colley, the fullback, after scraping back into the field of play and running into a pack of Riverina defenders. He's come from the field probably to sit out the rest of this match with only about 10 minutes to go in the second half of this first game of the day. Western Rams leading by 40-0 with a kick to come over the Riverina Bulls, thanks to SLE Worldwide Australia, the major sponsors of Country Rugby League, Anytime Fitness and Victor Sports on Bar TV Sports. Michael Dumacy.
Yeah, Jeff, we just see the two front rowers from either team, the two big number 8s, they've had a bit of a freshen up, that being Harry Sullivan from the Oberon Tigers, and that's for Western Division, and from the Riverina Bulls, which is Connor Tapau coming back onto the field. They'll be fresh. It'll be nice to see them lock horns here, Jeff, late into the second half. And, of course, Jack Hartwig, the captain of the Western Division team, back out onto the field after having a very lengthy rest. I think he's been off the field for about 25 minutes or so.
As Griffith comes in, he's the one that gets the kicks that are away from the post. This time he hits the post, as we saw Tyler Colley do in the first half, this time on the outside of the post. So the kick unsuccessful, and the score remains 36-0 with the Western Rams.
Jeff, they'll have to work on that kicking if they're getting into a tight game. Unfortunately, kicking is a big part of the game, or fortunately for teams, they've got plenty of good kickers, but the Western Division boys will have to work on that coming into some tighter games as the kick goes off, and it's going to be met here by Big Sullivan charging off the line, and he could do some damage here, Jeff. He's taken down 20 metres out, and that's a very good run off the kick-off.
And that's the time when you wish you hadn't run up very fast from the kick-off, isn't it? Because it's all right if it's your opposite number that brings the ball back, but when it's a big prop forward that comes steaming at you. But to his credit, the replacement out there, and I think it might have been Thomas McElhatton who took the tackle, and this time Blackhall, is it going away, the 5'8"?
Marlon Pollock.
No, so Marlon Pollock, the replacement. So the Pollock boys, and they're really starting to open the gaps up now on this very tired defence as the little man goes out of dummy half. That's the hooker in Dominello, and he's taken about 10 metres out in front of the posts.
Yeah, Dominello just terrorising them as Big Sullivan goes crashing towards the line. He's in. The ref points to the spot here. Sullivan has made immediate impact. He took that kick off, the kick-off that set up for what was Marlon Pollock driving up the field to be 30 metres out from the line, and then Sullivan's finished it off here with a beautiful try right next to the sticks, and the little number 7 Griffiths will be happy to take this kick.
Harry Sullivan from the Oberon Tigers. He'll probably get hold of Bar TV's coverage of that. He'll take the picture of him running the ball out from the first 20 metres, and he'll splice what happened in the middle and put the try down the other end together and say, look, I went the whole length of the field in one movement. But just the same, his drive, and it was enormous, coming off his own in-goal area to punch the ball out over the quarter line, and then again just a tired Riverina defence, some very fit and fresh when you're leading by 36-0 and now 40 points to nil. I guess it's a lot easier to get yourself up and get chasing, but a great reward for Harry Sullivan, the prop forward, running in a try to take the score out now to 40-0.
Yeah, 44 points to nil, Jeff, that is, I think, over there on the board with about 4.5 minutes to go. We just can't quite see the clock there, a bit obscured with a bit of sunlight on the clock as Griffith knocks it over, but we're going to 46 points to nil, 46 points to nil. But you're right, Jeff, when the front rowers are bending the line like they do, it makes it a lot easier to play football on the back. It'll be interesting to see who they kick to here, whether it is Sullivan or of course Pollock. They've both been devastating with the ball, and either way is probably not a good option.
Well, if you think we won't kick it to Pollock, but you kick it the other side, you'll find the other Pollock, the twin brother, and he might be bringing it out to you. Maybe it's time to just do a little dribble kick and try and get it back here, the Riverina boys. They've been certainly outplayed today, and one of them got a bit of an early start behind the referee on the far side. He's only about 3 more metres offside, but it's not going to matter. And here's one of the replacements, Jaden Fisher from Bathurst St Pat's takes the ball back for the Western Rams.
Yeah, Jeff, as we see, an uncharacteristic mistake there from the Western Rams coming off their own line. The Riverina boys will get a bit of respite here, take the breaths in. Like you said, Jeff, just completely outplayed today, the Riverina boys, but they have stuck in there. There's been plenty of signs that they can go a long way into this competition. It's only the second round, but there's been a glimpse there, Jeff.
If you're out on the field and you're feeling a little tired and you're wearing a gold and maroon Guernsey, as the Riverina boys are, and you look to the sideline, you see a little fellow coming out, you think, well, maybe this will be a little bit of pressure off us. But, of course, the little man that is going to take his place again is Elijah Collis, who's already scored one try, set up another, and his darts from around the dummy half, they won't sap the energy as much as tackling the big prop forwards, but they'll sap the energy simply by trying to wrap him up when he moves at such speed.
Yeah, definitely, Jeff. He's very quick, Collis. He's been devastating through the middle, as has Dominello and all the little men for the Western Division team. Like you said, you look up and you see that there's only a little man coming, but sometimes that's not a good thing when they're as quick as these boys are.
Well, Blake Coombs took the ball forward, and now one of the replacements, it might well be Thomas McElhatton, is caught and then driven back by a Riverina, by a Western Rams defence that just refuses to give up. And again, big man on little man, and the little man, it is one of the replacements for Western, who finishes off there in good fettle. The kick comes through, picked up on the far side by Aidan Nunn from Blaney, and he gets it back into the field of play. So whilst they've had a couple of kick-outs from their own line, the Western Rams have benefited from a couple of dropouts from underneath the Western Riverina boys. It's been not the same for the Riverina. They've been unable to get the ball into a second phase play or a second set as a result of a kick on the last tackle.
No, Jeff, the relief just keeps dying off for the Riverina boys. The Western Division boys have definitely made it very easy to come out off their own line, but there is 7 minutes to go, Jeff. The clock is a little bit more visible now. 7 minutes to go as we see a kick here from Griffith into the backfield, and it's there's no one home. I think the ball's going to dribble dead as the winger from Western Division was steaming through Aidan Nunn, but it has gone dead, and we see Dominello come to the sideline here for a well-earned rest, Jeff, and he'd be right up there in the player of the game.
Well, he certainly would be earning points, I think, in the Ron Lansbury points for the best player in this competition, the Andrew Johns Under-16s Cup. He's come from the field. One thing that has impressed me about Western Rams, they're certainly not one-dimensional. They've had their forwards going forward, but the halves have certainly combined very well, made a couple of breaks, but the kicking game has been outstanding.
Yeah, definitely, Jeff. Their kicking game, just dribbling it in behind them, and letting the Riverina boys having to ruck it out from their own end. That does take a lot of petrol out of the tank, as we see the Riverina fullback here out on the other side, which looks to be Billy Sainsbury, bring the ball forward as the Riverina boys are just trying to keep a little bit of pride in the jumper here by keeping on coming at the Western Division line.
Well, there's been plenty of great defence from the Western Rams. They've kept the Riverina boys scoreless to date, and with 6 minutes left on the clock they'll be aiming to do the same again, and it's been because they've come up as one. It's been a rarely bent line. There's been very few clean breaks made in either half by the Riverina boys, and the Western Rams, there's a lot of talk out there, and this time the Riverina boys put the ball on the toe, and again it's picked up very well under a bit of pressure there by the winger Aidan Nunn. Showed a good turn of pace to score in the first half, good turn of pace to almost score a couple of minutes ago, but it's been more the fact that every one of the players, apart from a couple of simple little errors, have done their job. There's been good handling, there's been maintaining the ball under pressure, and above all, supporting each other and going to ground when there's nothing on.
Yeah, Jeff, there's been plenty to like about this Western Division team as Cody Crisp comes off his line and gives a little tip on through to Hartwig there, and that's just a little attribute too, just coming through the middle, those little tip-ons and getting the quick play of the balls, as we see Collis scoop the ball up, give it to Blackall, quick hands out here to the centre, which is Mason Pollock, and he's been a handful to contain. He's brought down about 30 metres away from the Riverina line on the last tackle, as we see the Western Division boys set up for a kick here as it comes to Blackall. No, they're spreading it through Griffith. Griffith deciding he wants to play ball back to Smith. That opens up for Jack Smith. He's through the middle looking for a bit of support out wide here. The Riverina boys have touched it, and we've got an accidental offside as Riverina look to defuse the situation. Cody Crisp is down in back play, but an accidental offside there from the Riverina boys, and once again Western Division are on the attack.
In some ways you would have preferred to see that ball go to hand, because they would have got a longer break. As it turns out, Western are coming at them again as the ball's taken, and the captain of the side just, well, he's small, but he has tremendous strength, and I think that in the Peter Cheney Memorial stand behind the goalpost, obviously hometown crowd, because they go up as the lock, the second row and captain Jack Hartwig from the Forbes Magpies scores for the Western Rams, and that should just about bring them up to the half century. 48-0 kick to come.
There'd be 1,000 Hartwigs over in that stand, I dare say, cheering him on. A big football family here in Forbes, and young Jackie plays his under-16s. It has got Forbes Magpies here, but I do think he is a Red Ben Junior, and of course he steps up and plays in the Woodbridge Cup under-19s when he can. So he loves his football, Jack, and doing a good job here captaining the Western Division side, and it'd be nice for him to get some points here on his home ground.
Well, they won't mind if the halfback here, Noah Griffith, takes 5 or 6 minutes to kick this over. About 3 left on the clock, Michael. It's a red scoreboard, and it's a long way away. Red letters on that scoreboard. Perhaps it needs to be something a little brighter for commentators who are getting on in years. But the SLE Worldwide Australia are major sponsors of the Country Rugby League Juniors. Bar TV Sports covering this game, Anytime Fitness and Victor Sports, as Griffith pilots this one through, and that I think brings up the half century. We won't have to go a number of balls, but certainly in minutes it'll be 50 points in a little under 60 minutes with just a couple left on the clock. A very morale boosting win for the Western Rams, who remain unbeaten after 2 rounds of the competition.
52-0, Jeff, is the score. 2.5 minutes to go. The Riverina boys are still jogging up, wanting to play football. That's a good sign. Even though they have been beaten comprehensively, still wanting to be here as the ball goes down. We'll see Big Sullivan bring this one back, and this is going to be a devastating run, and he comes straight in, straight over the top of them, looking for a quick play the ball here back to Collis. Collis gets the ball, scoops it off to the try scorer, Hartwig. Hartwig goes through the centre and splits him. He's on his way through Hartwig. He's taken down, and Collis into dummy half here. They're set up out on the left-hand side again, Jeff.
I'm just looking at the Riverina player on the far side of the field who made that tackle twice. He's been the first man up. Twice he's had to tackle the big prop forward coming through. And the second time it looks like he might have got a bit of a burner on the arm, because he's still haunched on the far side of the field. But points for just going up and being prepared to take on Harry Sullivan from Oberon when he brought the ball back, and eventually on the third tackle it's forced a turnover with a scrum coming now. Not too much left in this game with the Western Rams leading handsomely. Have you got the try scorers there? I've got them here. Tyler Colley, the fullback, over for one. Aidan Nunn scored a try. Riley Blackhall started it all. The 5/8 from Wellington. Noah Griffith, the halfback. Harry Sullivan, Josh Dominillo, the hooker. Jack Smith, the lock forward, who made a magic break just a few moments ago, and Elijah Collis, the little fella from Wellington Cowboys. And the goals split between Noah Griffith, who's kicked, I think, 3 or 4, and a couple for Tyler Colley for the Western Rams, coached by Kurt Hancock against Coach Bernard Delaney's Riverina Bulls. It's 52 points to nil, and virtually the dying seconds of the match.
Yeah, Riverina just chanced their arm there, come wide and were bungled into touch. 30 seconds left on the clock. The Western boys are going to have a shot here with a kick downfield. Who have we got coming through here? Aidan Nunn from Blaney. He's very quick. The Riverina boys are going to get there, knock it into touch, and I think that'll be the game, Jeff. 17 seconds left on the clock. The Riverina boys are just jogging it back, and that brings up a very comprehensive win, 52 points to nil to the Western Division
and
boys.
there's the siren goes as the referee Ryan Sweeney from Wollongong blows full time. We'll be back with the under-18s in about 15 minutes or so. The players shaking hands, and no doubt they'll go in for some ice and a very cold shower, I would think, on this warm day at Spooner Oval in Forbes. Full-time score, 52 points to nil. The Western Rams over the Riverina Bulls. Michael Dumacy and me, Jeff Mann, will be back for the under-18s, a clash between the Rams and the Bulls in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I call one.
And here we come, plenty of noise for the Riverina Bulls. They were stung in the under-16s here at Spooner Oval in Forbes by a very well-drilled and highly skilled Western Rams. But the second match of the day, the Riverina Bulls, who coming off the back of a huge win last week. Samuel Heffernan is the captain from the Wagga Kangaroos. I'm Jeff Mann, and with me is Michael Dumacy. We'll be taking you through this game. Firstly, though, Michael, a Western Rams under-18 side that has produced plenty over the years against a Riverina Bulls team that had a huge win last week.
Yeah, Jeff, the Riverina Bulls are very fired up coming out onto the field here. They were down underneath, really stirring things up. So they're out on the field first. The Western Division boys are about to take the field, but just before they do, we'll go through the Western Rams side as it stands. Number 1, Benjamin Glasheen from the Parks Baseman. Number 2, Dennis Spathis. He's from the Condobolin Rams. Number 3, the centre, Brock Naden, Wellington Cowboys. Number 4, Cooper Martin from the Forbes Magpies, a local boy. Number 5, Zaran Galea from the Dubbo Sims Club. Number 6 is Harry Blake from the Ningen Tigers. Number 7, Josh Board, Orange Sims. Number 8, Nick Barlow, Bathurst Panthers. Number 9 is Paddy Haycock from Dubbo Sims. Number 10, Dave White from the Condo Rams. Number 11 is Thomas Stimson from Dubbo Sims. Number 12, Tyrone Harrison, Orange Sims. Number 13, the captain Luke Bain from the Bathurst Panthers. On the bench we have number 14, Nathan Swain, Orange Sims. Number 15, Aaron Winnie, the Forbes Magpies, another local. Number 16 is Colby Peckham, Dubbo Sims. Number 17, Bradley Fernley from the Bathurst Panthers. And the 18th man, number 18, Mitch Collins from Orange Sims. They're coached by Paul McDonald. Andrew Poole from the Woodbridge Cup president is the manager, and the trainers we have Chris Gale, James Simmons and Kevin Franklin.
And the Riverina Bulls coming off a first round win. They played last week against the I've just lost them here now. The Riverina Bulls, a huge win over the Greater Western Sydney Tigers. They won 60 points to 8. So a big win for them against a Western Rams team in the under-18s who drew 18 all with the Penrith Panthers. Now the slow clap coming for the Western Rams from their victorious under-16s who won by 16 points to 0. And they're led out by lock forward. For Western is Luke Bain, the captain from the Bathurst Panthers. The Riverina Bulls, the fullback is Zachary Rumble from Cootamundra. Curtis Fisher from Leeton is in 2. Moses Lollahea from Yenda in 3. Jackson Newling, Wagga Brothers 4. Jack Elphick from Gundagai will play on the right wing. Latrell Siegwalt from South City in 6. Tyson McLaughlin is the halfback from Wagga Kangaroos. Ben Arendt from Hay in 1. Front row Guernsey in number 8. Reece Clegg from Albury in 10, and Jeremy Wiscombe from Albury is the hooker. The second row is Ziggy Vincent from Griffith Black and Whites in 11, Sam Heffernan, Wagga Kangaroos in 12, and Wayne Parker from Cootamundra in 13. Elvin Ravu from Leeton is in 14, Benjamin Pollack from Gundagai 15, Steve Anderson, Young 17, Tomasi Baravalala from South Sydney in 18, and Cody Collins from Yanko is in 19. The coach is Jared Crane. Paul Strutt is the manager, and the trainers Jason Fuller, Corey Levy and Stuart Rose. The referee Bailey Hibbett blows time on, and it's a similar setup to the first half of the first game, with Western Rams defending the town end of the field and the Riverina boys kick off.
Straight down the throat here of the number 7, Josh Borden. He hands it on to his front rower. That looks to be Nick Barlow, making plenty of good yards there up to the 20-metre line. Western Rams get the ball back here. They go wide. Goes through their lock and captain, which is Luke Bain. He is tackled down about 30 metres from his own line, and Western are on the march nice and early, Jeff.
Well, in the first game, it was the under-16s from Riverina who had first use of the ball, and they took it through 5 tackles before kicking deep. But last week, having won by 60 points to 8 over the Greater Sydney region Western Tigers, they showed that they can tackle and they can score points. But the Western Rams will be happy enough to get over the halfway in their first set of 6. 4 gone. It's the dummy half and hooker this time, Paddy Haycock from Dubbo Sims. He's in the side because Campbell Woolnow, who is the normal number 9, is out injured. But from all reports, Paddy Hancock had a great game the other day, Paddy Haycock. And this time it's a fairly inconsequential kick from the Western Rams, which is taken by Zachary Rumble, the fullback, and he gets 12 metres out from his own line.
Yeah, Jeff, a good first set there from the Western Rams. Got down onto the Riverina line, a beautiful kick through, taken just about 5 metres from the Riverina line as they're on the march now through the big front row of the 8, which is Brad Arnett. He's coming forward here and he's tackled about 35 metres from his own line off to his front row partner, which is Reece Clegg. He's moving up towards the 45 metre mark here. Good yards here from the Riverina Bulls as the markers are caught a bit off there, and the hooker gets 40 metres out, that being Jeremy Wiscombe. He's pulled down 40 metres from his own line.
Well, the Albury boys, and I notice an Albury man, former Narromine player and then a coach of Albury, now the country coach, Josh Cale, is here, and he'll be delighted to see those 2 Albury boys. The hooker in the front row are taking it forward, but both the teams have now completed their first sets of 6. Both have coughed the ball up on the last with a kick, but this time Haycock comes down the close side for us here on the grandstand side of the field, and the Western Rams looking to get a bit of a roll on. The ball goes through Harry Blake, who comes from the Nyngan Tigers. They made the grand final in the under-18s 2 years ago and almost through to the grand final last year, the Nyngan Tigers. They've made it through 4 tackles. They're a couple of metres on the Riverina end of the ground as the ball goes out to the left-hand side, and the captain of the team there, Luke Bain, tries to get a pass away. It's knocked down. The referee says not played at, or is he? No,
not played at.
6. Yes, he has. He's called another 6. I thought that at first, Michael, that he was going to say that it wasn't played at, but that will certainly be a relief for the Western Rams.
Yeah, the Rams on the march now, 40 metres out on the first tackle. It's a good position to be in as the big 17, Bradley Fernley, takes the ball forward out on the field nice and early, gets up with the play of the ball. It comes out to the big 8 off to Dave White all the way from Condo. I believe he's signed with the Park Spacemen now, so back into the Group 11 comp, originally from the Woodbridge Cup, a Woodbridge Cup representative at 5'8" last year, playing in the front row this year as the Western Rams put a spread on out the back, and they're on the march. The wingers and the centres out here on the right-hand side calling for some ball.
Well, it was certainly crucial that second play as the halfback goes out for the Western Rams. He's taken just metres from the line, Josh Board, and on the last tackle it goes back. It's a clumsy pass, not able to be taken, but some good work there to be able to stand in the tackle and get it out. And now the Western Rams throw it wide, and young Naden, I think it is, playing in the centres there. Cooper Martin from the Forbes Magpies is tackled a couple of metres out, but there you go, a bad pass on the far side of the field. They lost some momentum, but almost got through to score a try on the right-hand side of the field.
A very high standard of football so far, Jeff. A very good game warming up here. 0-0 after about 5 minutes, and it is high quality as the Riverina boys take it out off their own end through their big number 8. That is Ben Arndt coming out off the line there. Back to the hooker here, and the Riverina boys are really trying to get off their own line here. Most of the balls being played down in their own end though, Jeff.
Yeah, they'll be looking to take this onto the 5th tackle, and then I think be looking for a deep kick, although an inside ball almost created a gap, but some solid defence by the Western boys, and they get the ball back and almost bring it back to the halfway line. Tackled just a couple of metres out. It goes away to Haycock, and the little dummy half gets it on to lock forward Luke Bain, the captain of the side. 5 metres now inside the Riverina, the Bidgie Bulls side of halfway, and the halfback this time, Josh Board, takes it out on the left-hand side of the fields there, moving ever closer. And Mick, as we did in the first game, we're spending a fair bit of time with our eyes peeled to the right-hand end of the field, which of course is the end to which the Western Rams are running at Spooner Oval in Forbes on a very warm afternoon. A good crowd building up, under 23s to follow, and the Western Women's League as they go wide, and it comes out there to one of the second rowers who gets it on the end of the fingertips and then gets it away. That was Thomas Stimson from Dubbo Sims. 4 tackles gone. Haycock again out, and this time big prop forward David White from Condoblin cuts the ball forward. He's just inside the quarter line, right in front of the post, and it goes from Haycock out to to the 5'8" there, Harry Blake, who puts the ball on the toe. Coming through and leaping and taking the ball brilliantly is Curtis Fisher from Leeton, but he's chased and tackled on the 30-metre line by the Western Rams defence.
High quality this game, Jeff. They're playing some very good football, both teams. Riverina so much to be keeping these Western Division players out. A little bit sloppy early on from the Western Division team. A few balls going out the back and things just not going right as we see the Riverina boys trying to make yards through the middle. Out to the big boy here out in the back row. He sponged it off there but got the ball back. That looks to be the 10 there, I think. Or maybe the boy off the bench. No, the 11 it was there, which was Ziggy Vincent. Ziggy
taking it forward. Now they're only 30 metres out, so they've made good territory in this first part of their tackle count. 5 gone.
Yeah, Ziggy Vincent there, a very devastating ball runner, got taken as the Western Division boys are under pressure here as a flick play back in from the Western boys has gone dead. So, oh, gee, Jeff, they've jumped on a bomb there, dead set. But
I'm not sure whether that was a speculator from the far side of the field by the winger Dennis Bathurst from Condobolin Rams, but a good set of 6. We've seen, I think, 3 each now, sets of 6 completed by both teams. Their kicks on the final have put the opposition team under pressure, but still no points on the board. 10 minutes gone in the under-18s. This is the Laurie Daley Shield. The first game of the day went to the Western Rams handsomely by 52 points to 0 with some crunching defence by the Western Division Rams. We're here today thanks to SLE Worldwide Australia, the major sponsors of this country rugby league competition, Anytime Fitness, Victor Sports, and of course you're watching on Bar TV Sports right across the world.
Yes, Jeff, as the ball comes out the back here through the Riverina attack, it gets to the centre there, number 3, which is Moses Lola here. He's pulled down just short of the line here on tackle number 3. The winger there looks to go through, which was Curtis Fisher. He's taken down there short of the line, but Riverina right on the line here. The ball comes back through. The referee calling number 9 offside, which is Paddy Haycock, but he's got them back on the line there. We're on the last tackle here, and the Riverina boys mounting an attack. Comes out through the half-back. He puts the kick through. Plenty of chases from the Riverina, though, taken beautifully there. Back in behind the line, it looked to be the second row there. The number 12 from the Western Rams, Tyron Harrison from Orange Sims. He's taken in goal, and here's Riverina's chance to put some points on the board.
Well, again, very good kick on the final tackle, and it was one that really could have gone either way. It just missed that big blue band around the bottom of the post. Had it hit the post, it could have come straight back into the Riverina boys, but probably second best option's not a bad one. They get the ball back, and this will now be the third set of 6 that the Western Rams will be forced to defend. First points still to be put on the board, and the Riverina boys, who won handsomely by 60-8 last week, looking to get those points on the board now.
Zach Clegg brings the ball back here for Riverina, Jeff, and he's met only 30 metres away from the line. So the Riverina boys have really got their tails up on the charge here as the other front rower going through there is Arndt. He's taken down 20 metres from the line. A quick play the ball back to hooker there, which is Wiscombe. Wiscombe gets short of the line there, held up right next to the post, and I think the Western Division boys have used the post as their best friend there, Jeff, in that piece of play.
Absolutely, it's the third man play, isn't it? 2, one on either side and one in the middle, wrapped him around the post, and it looks like that post needs to be replaced, and in fact it has been replaced, and now they move the ball wide on their third set of 6. It goes away to the second rower here in Ziggy Vincent. He's taken down on the line only about a metre or so out. Last time they tried to go from dummy half, it was the winger Fisher. This time they pick it up from dummy half. It goes wide, a little bit of a skip and a step, and then a lovely little offload by Latrell Siegwalt, and he's taken down. The Western Rams defence holding at the moment. They are 0-all, this 2 teams in the opening quarter of the game. But for the third time in 3 sets of 6, we're going to see the Western Rams forced to bring the ball away from their own line, and that is superb ball control by the Riverina boys.
Plenty of pressure being mounted here, Jeff. I think that was Paddy Haycock caught him behind his own line with the ball. So we're going to see a third set here from the Riverina boys. They've gone to out to Reece Clegg every time they've gone to the dropout here, and he's played plenty of yards here. It'll be interesting to see if they go the other way there to Arndt, who's out here on the other side. we see the dropout. It's coming short, actually, and this will mean that Arndt is going to bring it back. Oh, a bit of a miscommunication there as Arndt gets the ball. He's come straight back to the centre, and he's found some space. They're going to play from 25 metres out here, the Riverina boys, and on the attack.
Right in front of the posts, and they get a penalty now just to compound things a little bit more. Ball on hand, and I think the Riverina boys, they're going to sustain the pressure, and it's the big prop forward, Arndt from Hay, who takes it forward, carts it up into the centre of the Western Rams defence. The boy from the Hay Plains is tackled 2 metres out. He'll play it away to the halfback, Jeremy Winscombe. It comes out to the left, and this time they're through. And the first points of the game to the second rower, Ziggy Vincent from Griffith Black and White. Just sustained pressure. Points had to come. 4th set of 6 in a row. Give them a penalty as well, and they've scored the first points, and indeed the first points of the day for the Riverina boys.
Yeah, Ziggy Vincent has been very devastating out on this left-hand side for the Riverina boys, and of course that compound pressure there, Jeff, just had to pay off eventually, and they've done very well to put the ball over the line there after having to attack for so long, but the Western Division boys held out for a long time too.
Well, Ziggy Vincent from Griffith Black and White's a famous club, has scored the first try. Big pack of forwards, the Riverina Bulls, and when you've got a big pack like that and they hold the ball, then you're always going to be under pressure, and it's proved a little bit too much for the Western Rams, who've conceded the first try. The 5'8" that is Latrell Siegwald, who'll take the kick at goal.
Siegwald here with a kick. He's about 20 metres out, right on the line here. 10 in from touch. He lines it up and hits it very sweetly, and the flags go up. That'll take the Riverina boys out to 6. Riverina lead Western Division 6-0.
Well, the Riverina crowd behind us here in the grandstand at Spooner Oval in Forbes, and they're delighted because it's the first points for Riverina today, going down in the under-16s, 52 points to 0 against a classy Western Ram side. Now, a fellow that's just joined me in the grandstand is a fellow that, well, I'm not sure whether he will have divided loyalties, but grew up playing at Narromine, which of course is a nursery for the Western Rams, but is now in Albury and has coached in the Riverina and is coaching country. Josh Cale, welcome to the microphone.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Warm day. I'll bet it's one of those days that you're very glad that you're sitting in the grandstand, not out there running around.
Yeah, I mentioned that a few times at Nugget. We had a bit of a chat about the weather, and I think that's a common theme between me and him. We're pretty happy to be in the stands on a day like today.
Well, we saw a very classy Western Division side, and of course Tommy Nelson, whose name had appeared on the trophy in the under-18s for many years, coached a lot of great Western Rams teams over the years. They've continued to do that, but this Riverina side, from what we've seen in the first 10 minutes or so, they're a special side to a big win last week.
Yeah, look, they've been pretty impressive at training, and as you know, Western Division are always tough. So I'm sure they'll get a good match today, and they'll sort of see where they're at. And I know they've been looking forward to it all week.
A couple of big boys there in the front row, both from Albury, and a ball taken on the fly. It could have been marginal as to whether there was a penalty there for tackling the man on the full. The Western Division boys travel from Burke to Oberon to Lithgow to Mudgee. It's a vast area. I would suspect that the Riverina is probably just as vast.
Yeah, maybe not as far, but when you throw in places like Hay to Albury to Tumut, there's plenty of ground to cover, and just shows the commitment from all bush kids, and especially from both of our areas. The commitment levels for them to be able to jump in the car and travel to training in 3.5 hours is, it's pretty awesome.
There's a lot of incentive for these players. It's not only pride in your region or the old divisional Riverina and Western, but there's a lot on offer because we're broadcasting live, and there'll no doubt be plenty of commentators or plenty of talent scouts watching the game, but there'd be plenty of talent scouts here around the ground casting an eye over this talent as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think the launching of both cups with the 16s and 18s with Laurie Daley and Andrew Johns has just given it that little bit more that bit more exposure they needed, and to have TV and people to be able to watch them all over the area is awesome. So these kids, they've got a lot to play for, like you said, for their areas, and they all, I'm sure, have got ambitions to go higher, and hopefully a few of them can, because there's some good footballers out there.
Certainly some of the greatest footballers in Australia have come from the bush, and one of the best ever was Ronnie Lynch, who grew up here playing for the Forbes Magpies, tough tackling second rower who went down and played many years with Parramatta. I mentioned earlier in the call about Peter Kennedy from here, but of course you grew up in a town that produced the great Bob Weir, and even your own father who went to Sydney and captained both Penrith and St George.
Yeah, look, Narramon's got a proud history of blokes going to Sydney. You throw in David Gillespie, David Walsh, and it's awesome, those little towns, and, very proud. Obviously, it's still, a Western boy at heart. I can't deny that. Growing up and playing through the grades in Western Division and going on to country, you're always a Western boy once you're a Western boy. But obviously, with the Riverina, it is hard. But it's just good to see these kids out here and pushing their abilities and showing what they got.
Well, it's a pathway that's coming through now, and later on this afternoon we're going to see some under-23s, which is the major pathway now. The Opens is gone. It's a philosophy, I guess, that's saying that if you haven't made it at 23, you're not going to make it to the NRL. Do you agree with it?
Oh, look, there's probably always hope. I don't think you should ever give up, but probably realistically, you're probably right. The Sydney clubs probably don't look at guys outside of that age bracket. You've got to be pretty special too. And, last year, I just thought the concept was unbelievable. Even the Riverina, the boys that we had, we were getting 25 to 30 blokes in February to training camps, which, is pretty awesome. And then with the Opens, it was always tough. A lot of blokes were at the end of their career, and, some of them were anyway and weren't that keen on it. So to switch to the 23s and to see the effort they put in was awesome.
Well, certainly an enthusiastic crowd here. Thanks to Josh Cale, who's been joining us as the Riverina team leading by 6-0, looking for their second try. They go wide, and it looks like the referee's backing back. And I think that's Moses Lollahea from Yenda who scored. Josh up by 10 points to 0. It's certainly not too far away, but all the players gone the way of Riverina in this first 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think possession's been the key here. They've controlled the ball well and buried Western down their own end, and but a mistake can change the momentum.
Well, that try came after Western almost pulled off an intercept and went the length of the field. Michael Dumacy, you've had a bit of a chance to sit back and watch it while we've been talking with Josh Cale, who's the country coach, and it's been almost the perfect start for Riverina. You can see why they won by 60 points last week.
Yeah, definitely, Jeff. A very comprehensive start here by the Riverina. Lollahea getting the ball there off a brilliant bit of play through the 5'8", who's lining up the ball here, which is young Seawalt. The halves joined up through the centre of the field as we see the 18 coming onto the field here. Well, we're going to have a crack at his name. Jeff, how did you pronounce the 18's name?
Yeah, the replacement coming on there, Tomasi Baravalala from South Sydney is coming in on 18 as that conversion attempt goes wide. It's 10-0, about 10 out from half time.
And the Western Division boys are going to have to dig deep here, Jeff. They're down. They haven't gone to the bench. They have gone to the bench, actually. David White from Condo having a quick breather. Coming onto the field, Colby Peckham from Dubbo Sim. So Colby's out there playing through the centre. And as you said, Baravavilla from the South City Bulls is out onto the field for Riverina, and he looks like a monster of a young man.
Well, they had a good start, Western. They had plenty of ball and they looked after it and kicked well on the last. But since those first, say, 10 or 12 minutes, it's been Riverina controlling the ball, either getting back-to-back sets on the back of a couple of penalties and holding the Green Boys within their own quarter, and a little bit of luck going their own way, as we see there, one of the prop forwards going forward. I think it's Reece Clegg from Albury, who is one of the bookends. He's to ground and climbs back up. No, it wasn't Clegg. It might have been the lock forward. No, it was Clegg, the prop forward, who's been powerful in this big pack of forwards that beat the West Tigers last week by 60 points to 6. are really forcing the Western Rams to dig deep. They're coming from the town end of the field here at Spooner Oval in Forbes and looking for a little bit of a bust if they can get the ball back into the Riverina half.
Yeah, Jeff Young, the young fullback from Parks, Benji Glasheen, he's a real superstar of the future out here in the Western Division. Hasn't seen too much ball here. He's mainly seen it coming off his own end, but yeah, I'd like to see a bit more ball in the hands of the outside backs here from Western Division. They're having to do the hard yards through the middle here as the ball comes back through the big number 17 there. That is Bradley Fernley. He's been
a very
out there.
famous name in Western Division, Brad Fernley. I'm not sure what the relationship is with the great Greg Fernley, who of course was a prop forward against the English in 1974 in that famous Western Division MCO Cup team that took out the inaugural game, but Fernley is a famous name as the ball goes across. It's a kick across field looking for the number 4, and he's gone high and picked it up there, the centre Cooper Martin, but his pass on the last tackle, there was no 6 again, has gone back to Riverina, and probably the best chance they've had in the first half for the Western Rams has come to naught.
Lola Hea takes the ball here, Jeff, from dummy half, and that's been a big thing about this Riverina team is they're keeping on through the middle here. They're not being taken down on the first or second tackles, and really the Western Division team is really needs to get them down early, Jeff.
Well, they were very focused, the Riverina boys. They were sitting behind us here as the first half of the under-16s went, and a lot of them, as is the trend these days, sitting there with their headphones on and lots of music, and we heard a very vociferous reception from their under-16s who greeted the 18s who came out of the sheds, having given a fair bit of noise. They were pretty focused, I think, stung by the 52-0 win of the Western Rams in the under-16s. But in this Laurie Daley Shield, it's Riverina who are dominant. They lead by 10 points to 0.
Yeah, Jeff, Western Division getting the ball back 40 metres from their own line here due to a mistake from the Riverina boys, and Western Division really need to try and force a bit of pressure here on the Riverina boys as they cart the ball up 40 metres away from the Riverina line on the third tackle. The ball comes back to Haycock here. He's gone for a scoot from dummy half. A very strong Dubbo Sims presence throughout this Western Division team as the ball comes back to board as they start to spread it wide here. The 5/8 going for a bit of a scout there through the middle, and they're still only 40 metres. They're not making much yards here, Jeff.
Well, they're certainly getting up off the line, the Riverina defenders, and despite the size of the boys, they are not allowing any of the Western Division players to get through, and this time a pretty inconsequential kick that's taken less than 10 metres out from his own line, but they bring the ball back and then get the add-on of a penalty as the Western Division boys probably looking for a little bit of extra time. I don't know whether that was White or the other prop forward, Nick Barlow, that was responsible, but the two props were in there, and the Western Division boys looking a little lacklustre, will have to tackle again.
Yeah, Jeff, the Western Division boys just compounding on each other here with the penalty as the Riverina boys playing a bit of ball out the back here to nearly get up near the halfway line. Yeah, the Western Division boys with that penalty, it just really hurt them there. They've got a few fresh legs out there too as Barravilla comes up through the middle, and he's brought down about 43 metres away with a little fumble there. No, he was able to regain, and the Riverina boys are only 35 metres away from the Western Division line, Jeff, and really on the march.
Well, they've certainly got the big men to carry it forward, and that replacement player, Barra Valala, has come on from South City, and he's had a couple of big runs. That's got to hurt when you're tackling in 35-degree heat and you're down 10-0, but good on them. The Western Division boys have forced a turnover here, and again, taking it away from their own quarter. They're out over the 30-metre line. They've got a long way to go and not too much time till half-time if they're going to put some points on the board.
Yeah, Riverina leading 10 points to 0 here, and those points have come from pressure on the Western Division line. Western Division had all the ball early in the game and weren't able to convert it into points as they go through Fernley here out wide. Fernley has no one going with him. He's dragged down about 45 metres away from his own line with a quick play the ball there. Haycock's away. He's found no markers out the wide there to Naden. Naden's busting through them, and he's brought down about 20 metres away from his own line, and Western Division are starting to mount a bit of attack here, Jeff.
Well, he certainly comes from good stock, young Naden. His brother Brock captained Penrith Panthers to a premiership in the under-20s a couple of years ago, played with Canberra last year, and he's off to his third club now, playing I think first grade again up in the northern northern suburbs of Sydney, as the ball now is kicked and it is taken. It was certainly spot on for the kick. It was taken inside the field of play, and some good follow-up defence by the Western Rams. They trail 10-0 tries to Moses Lolahia from Yenda and Ziggy Vincent from Griffith Black and Whites, and a conversion by Latrell Siegwalt from South City, as the Riverina Bulls leading 10-0, 30 metres out from their own line, or 26 metres out from their own line, now 30, have really put the acid test for the Western Rams.
A mistake there from the Riverina boys late in the half, Jeff, and Western Division are able to have a bit of a attack here at the line, only 35 metres away from their own line here. They're not really keen to get in and get this scrum packed either team. It's quite humid and quite hot here today, and right out in that sun, Jeff, it'd be really sapping the petrol out of both sides.
8 minutes out from half time, and we see the big men again being interchanged, and it's the prop forward David White from Condobolin. You said he might have been playing with Parks this year, is coming out to the sideline looking to take his place, as the fullback Benjamin Glasheen from Parks almost splits the defence on the right hand side of the field. He's up, plays the ball to Cooper Martin. He won't get to play it. In fact, the referee Bailey Hibbert has blown a penalty, and Western, for the first time in, I'd say, 15 minutes, get to take a little bit of a breather. They're going to tap and go. I thought they may have gone to the sideline just to buy themselves a little bit of extra time, but they've gone for a set play. It's touched and then given to Cooper Martin from Forbes, who runs around to the left, and back then now to the big 15 Aaron Mawini from the Forbes Magpies. So the Forbes Magpies will certainly lift the crowd if they can score a try on their home ground. It goes away to Haycock, and it goes wide then to Harry Blake from the Ningan Tigers. Steps again, and the boy who plays for the Tigers, playing for the Western Rams today, has tackled a couple of metres out. He's only small, but he's certainly got a big heart and a very good step. It goes wide now, the Western Rams. Can they convert and put some points on the board before half-time? Naden out there, strong and lean. He forces his way back towards the post, but there's been no deficit whatsoever in this defence of the Riverina boys, who won handsomely last week in their first round. And once again, they hold the Western Division boys up. No, they don't. There's been a really good piece of bullocking work right on the line, but
Fernley.
Buried inside there. I'm not sure who it is, Mick. I'll let
Fernley.
you see if you can pick up a player.
Yeah, I think it was young Fernley scoring the try out wide there. He's been quite good so far for the Western Division team. The 17 from the Bathurst Panthers. Bradley Fernley scoring the first points here for the Western Division boys, taking the score on to 10 points to 4. We've got about 6.5 minutes left here in the first half for the under-18s, and a kick to come.
Well, Josh Cale said earlier it's a game of possession, and after it was even exchanges in the first 5 or 6 minutes, Riverina had the ball, and on the back of a good completion of their sets and a couple of penalties, they had 3 kicks out from the line of the Western Rams. Eventually, that defence succumbed, and Western Rams conceded 2 tries within a few minutes, one to Ziggy Vincent, one to Moses Lolahia, the boy from Yenda, converted by Latrell Siegwalt, the first one. But then Western have come back, and again, they are the ones that have had the ball, forced a bit of pressure, and on the back of a penalty on the right-hand side of the field, have taken it to the left. And I thought he was held and going nowhere. But young Fernley showed plenty of strength and determination to barrel over. The conversion attempt is straight over the post, and it is now 10-6 in this Laurie Daley Shield at Spooner Oval in Forbes. You're on Bar TV Sports, thanks to SLE Worldwide Australia, the major sponsor, Anytime Fitness, and Victor Sports.
Brock Naden puts the extra 2 on the board there, Jeff, and Western Division needed to score them points, getting close to half-time, and they didn't want to let the game get too far away. All of the points from the Riverina have come from the left-hand side, so it'll be interesting to see here in the last few minutes where they'll attack from as the ball comes off the dead ball line, and Mawini brings the ball back very strongly to be taken there, about 20 metres away from his own line.
Marwini, it's a name that I know that you would associate with harness racing around this area, a very strong harness racing area around West Wyalong and Young and Peak Hill and Forbes and of course Eugowra, but today it is rugby league that is on everyone's lips, and the Western Rams, well, we'll see if they're lifted by that try, down 10-0, they're back to 10-6, and Marwini it is comes forward again. No, Tyrone Harrison from Orange Sims who bustles his way forward and then now 40 metres out, and it goes back to the fullback, and he steps off his left foot and then straightens and goes through the defence close to the ruck. Western putting themselves in a position now where they can throw the ball wide, and it looks like they're going to do that again, and it's Fernley that's out there. I think he might have been offside, but the ball has gone wide, brilliantly taken out there on the wing. And it is Dennis Spathis from the Condobolin Rams who scores the try out wide. Les Hutchings was the last Condobolin player that I remember, along with Percy Knight, who went on to play in the First Division in Sydney, and that's a lot of years ago. But young Spathis there showing great ability to get aerial, catch the ball, and all of a sudden 10-0 becomes 10-all with a kick to come.
Yeah, Jeff, right on the stroke of half-time too. We've got about 3 minutes to go until half-time. 10-all with a kick to come. Naden's got the kick from out wide to convert the try of his wing partner. He's a centre out there on the left-hand side for Western Division, and flew up above the pack, did young Spathis, and done well to haul that ball in and score the points. So how quick a game can change. We heard Josh Cale talk about it. Only takes a little knock on or a little penalty here and there to change things around, and all of a sudden Western Division are back in the game and could be heading into the sheds on top.
Well, let's have a look at that one, Aaron. Marwini, the replacement from the Forbes Magpies, he made two very good breaks, one off the kick and then another one that took the ball well down into the Riverina half, and then we saw another good run from Tyrone Harrison from Orange Sims, which put the Riverina defence on the back foot, and then again it looked like a very set piece of play. They came to the right, played all the right, they looked like they were going to run it to the left, but in fact it was a kick, a spot on kick from I think the halfback Josh Board across the field. It was the 6, it was Harry Blake from Ningan Tigers, and Dennis Spathis came flying through, outleaped the defence and then twisted over for the try. Yeah,
Jeff, a beautiful piece of work there. Probably a set play there from a kick as Naden steps in. He's hit it quite well. Is it online? Yes, Naden has knocked it over, and with only 2.5 minutes to go in the first half, Jeff, it looks like Western Division, bar anything bad happening in these last 2 minutes, will be heading into the sheds in front, and Coach Paul McDonald will be quite happy with that.
Western up 12-10 after trailing 10-0, about 10 minutes out from half-time, and this is a crucial period either side of halfway, but certainly Western Division have won the last 10 minutes after being put under immense pressure, extraordinary pressure by Riverina, who were able to convert that pressure into points. But now again, it's the Western boys leading by 12-10, just over a minute out from half time. I think they'll be looking for some settlers to kill a bit of time down here. They won't want to give the Riverina boys too much time with ball in hand leading into the half-time break.
That man again, Marwini, taking the ball off the dead ball line and making very good yards there for Western Division. Fernley backing it up and backing again for Marwini. He's been quite busy throughout this last little bit of the second half, sorry, Jeff, as they bring the ball out. They're targeting here on the left side as Paddy Haycock goes for a scoot out of dummy half. Fine support here through the centres, and who's that? That's the halfback, Josh Board, being taken down 35 minutes. A penalty to compound that, and Western Division, with only minute 13 left on the clock, have a chance to go further in front heading into the half-time break.
Well, it's certainly what you're looking for, isn't it? I don't understand this, that you'd take a tap 35 metres out when you had the opportunity to kick into touch, and of course in rushing that, well, it wasn't really rushed. They had a bit of time to think about it, but they chose to take the tap and go. They could have been 10 out and had 6 tackles to play from. Instead, they've given a sliver of an opportunity. The Riverina boys will have the ball. I'm sure that they'll play to try and do something with it. Maybe a long kick and a chase, I'm not sure, but only about 15 seconds left as the scrum goes down and the Western Rams leading 12-10.
Yeah, Jeff, Dave White coughing that one up. Very disappointing for Dave. He'll be filthy on that as the boys from the Riverina come out wide with a good run there, and an equally good tackle there and a knock on. That'll definitely be half time. The boys are getting a bit tight out here, Jeff.
Yeah, certainly. Cooper Martin from the Forbes Magpies earns the plaudits of his team as he met his opponent there, ball and all, Moses Lolohea, and put him to ground. And I think that the clock will probably strike before they get the opportunity to set their scrum. Certainly no great hurry from either team to set it. But at half time at Spooner Oval in Forbes in the Bar TV Sports Country Championships, the under-18s final second round matches at 12-10 in favour of Western Rams at half-time. 2 late tries to Dennis Spathis from Condobolin and Brad Fernley from Bathurst Panthers. 2 goals kicked by Brock Naden from a wide angle, and that was in reply to tries by Moses Lolohea from Yenda and Ziggy Vincent from Griffith Black and Whites, with 1 conversion from Latrell Sigwalt. We've got a game on our hands back in about 10 for the second half on a very warm day. Michael Dumacy and myself, Jeff Mann, will take you through the second half hour of this big game. Well, we've all been taking a deep breath here at Spooner Oval in Forbes, the home of the Forbes Magpies and the Western Rams hosting round 2 action in the newly named competitions for under 16s and under 18s in Country Junior Rugby League or Country Rugby League. The under 16s named in favour of a famous name from Newcastle, in fact from out in the Hunter Valley. We talk, of course, of Andrew Johns, one of the men that's in consideration, probably with the man whose name is on the trophy for the under-18s country champions, Laurie Daley. Those two men, Johns and Daley, probably in line to be named as the 9th immortal. They'll have some competition from the likes of Norm Proven, the great St George second rower who led them through so many premierships, but certainly 2 great names. And Country Rugby League has produced great champions. I spoke with Josh Cale a little earlier. Josh was playing at Narromine as a junior and then went on to play down in Sydney and in the Riverina. He took Albury to a couple of premierships and is now the country coach. But so many good footballers that have come out of the area. The names of Scurfield and Wakefield from Parks and Forbes. They both played for New South Wales on the wing and at fullback. And Johnny Bonham from Parks. And I mentioned a little fellow from out west in Les Hutchings, who played halfback and went down to Sydney and played with Canterbury, a brilliant little halfback. And that's what this rugby league's all about. We don't have to go too far into the Riverina to find Laurie Daley at Junee or Michael down into Wagga and find, Brentnells and Mortimers and all sorts of good players.
Yeah, definitely, Jeff. Not a bad bit of football talent being sitting behind us here. Billy Burns, who's mixed up with the Penrith Panthers under 20s this year, and of course Darby Medlin sitting directly behind us, signed with the Canberra Raiders and making his name down there, and of course captained the Western Division team to a victory last year.
In the under 18s, at that stage it was known as the Tom Nelson Shield. Well, this year Tom Nelson, a man who coached Western Rams and country teams for over 20 years, Western to a number of great championship grand final winning teams. He had the likes of Andrew Ryan and David Gillespie in those teams, and of course Les Davidson and the late Nana Grant, David Nana Grant, all were players in teams that he'd done, and I think it even goes back as far as Terry Fay from Wellington. So some wonderful talent that has come through. And down into the Riverina, you talk of Eric Weasel and you talk of Ron Crow at West Wylog and so many other great names that have come out of Country Rugby League. And we've got a great tussle on our hands in this Laurie Daley Shield. For the under-18s, it'll be the Western Rams, who trailed 10-0 just before half-time, fought their way back with 2 tries in the last 10 minutes and lead 12-10, take the kick-off.
Jeff, there's a massive kick-off here from the Western Division team. The Breeze has swung right around and caught the back of the Western Division boys here in the second half, as we see Riverina taking it off their own end and met at the 10-metre line. They've gone the quick spread early, and here's the Riverina out on the outside, but taken down in a beautiful tackle there by the halfback Josh Board and Fernley, who's been ultra impressive since kick-off, Jeff.
Yeah, he certainly has been. Scored a good try, a very determined try when he was held by, I think, the entire Riverina pack on the far side of the field. He was able to force his way through. I thought Riverina might have missed a chance there. They were 3-on-1 with the Western Division defence coming in, and the try scorer, Spathis from Condobolin, the left winger wearing number 2, was well inside, but they weren't able to get the pass and get themselves the extra ground. But it doesn't matter. They've been able to kick on with a penalty, and they'll drive this one. They're running into a bit of a breeze in the first half, but they'll drive this deep into Western Rams territory.
Yeah, Jeff, a penalty there for an infringement within the play of the ball. One of the Western Division players in there had their hands on the ball, so an early penalty, and we see the 17 from the Riverina carting the ball up here, which is Steve Anderson. He's taken down 30 metres away from the Western Division line as they come down there through the 15, which is Pollock is taken down all the way from Gundagai. The hooker gets into dummy half there, which is Ruva. He goes himself, takes it out, and he's met there, the front rower there. They've met in the middle, and he's taken down 10 metres. There's another penalty. Another penalty there for not letting the player up, and the 12's off here from the Riverina, and he's going to go very close to scoring. Brock Naden underneath him here, and the 12 was Heffernan. He's taken down short of the line.
Based on the first tackle, that was the first offence there, the dropped ball. So the Western Rams, despite the fact they were bundled into touch, will take the ball away from their own line, and that is a relief because they coughed up 2 penalties in a row and 12 tackles in this heat against a Riverina side that we know can score tries. It was a pretty brave effort in defence to force that error.
Again, Jeff, the Riverina side going left through Lola here, and players like that out there, they're wanting to making their aim out on that left-hand side. That's where their 2 tries come from, as we see Peckham there going strongly through the middle for Western Division, pulled down about 35 metres away from the Western Division line. The ball goes back to Haycock. Haycock finds White there through the middle. White is strongly taken down there, 45 metres. A good little 10 metres there from White, and Western Division are on the march. They come back here, and that's actually White there. That was Benji Glasheen that was taking a hit up through the middle. White gets the ball now, and he's 35 metres away from the Riverina line, playing the ball there on the 4th. It comes out the back here to Board. Board gets the ball across to Naden. Naden's moving forward. He has nowhere to go. He's taken down there by 3 Riverina defenders on the last tackle, and we'll look here to Haycock to go to dummy half. Haycock gets the ball, spins it back to Board. Board puts one up to the sky. It's a low flat kick over there. Coming through fast was Galea. He can't take his man, and the winger there from Riverina is on the march up the field, Jeff.
Certainly a good play. It came off in the first half, and it was a much higher kick in the first half that gave the Western Rams players time to get underneath it, and Dennis Spathis from Condobolin scored a try. That time the kick a little flatter, as you mentioned in your call, and it went a little further, and great work by, I think, Curtis Fisher on the far side of the field, who was able to bring it away, and now it's the big forwards who stop and swing their way forward. Ziggy Vincent, the try scorer, is up now just on the red line. This time a little bit of a confusion there with a couple of the replacement players on. Nowhere to go. Tackled 30 metres out. Riverina, they're looking to come to the right-hand side. And Latrell Siegwald it is. Well, there's one in a million. You don't see too many of those. And if you are a Western Rams player and a Western Rams coach, Paul McDonald, you'll take that one any day. A penalty for not playing the ball properly.
You're an incorrect play of the ball, and like you said, Jeff, 1 in a million. You don't see it very often, as the kick is very flat here, and it just finds touch about 35 metres away from the Riverina line, and the Western Rams are set up here in a good position, Jeff, to be playing some attacking football, as Fernley wants the ball here, and it goes out the back though to Naden. Naden is tackled in a 3-man tackle there from the Riverina.
Well, as you'd expect, the halfbacks, the little number 9s have been doing a good job, and Haycock certainly in that side. Supposedly in place of Campbell Woolnow, who's out injured, but boy, it's going to take some work from Woolnow if he's to bring himself back into the side. And now it's the big forwards from Western Rams who got them back into the game just before half time. They've started the second half with the same sort of vim, and they've created now a little bit of space as the 5'8" Harry Blake props off his left foot, goes again. He's not quite tackled. He almost was able to roll over and pirouette and score the try. This time it's a short pass, close to the post, and there we go, the perfect shepherd for the Western Rams. And is that David White or Marwini? Marwini it is that scored the try. That really was taking advantage of the blue player just beside the post, the big rubber band that protects the post, and that created some uncertainty in the defence of the Riverina players. And Western Rams now 3 tries have come in the last 14 minutes.
Yeah, Jeff, a great start from the Western Rams boys to the second half here. They've really come out and signalled their intentions to play forward football, and off the back of a good few little runs there from their big men and spreading the ball out wide, they've been able to put the ball down right next to the post. A very easy conversion here for Brock Naden. The scores are out to Western Rams 16, Riverina 10 with a kick to come.
Well, the second half has started in some degree the way that the first finished. We saw a very even, very tight first 10 minutes of the match, and the scores locked 0-0, and then a scoring spree on the back of a lot of possession by Riverina got them out to 10-0, and just at a time when we thought they could maybe score another try and go away with it, Western Rams scored 2 tries before half-time. They've controlled the ball well in the second half, some good online defence when the Western Rams had a penalty, when the Riverina boys had a penalty, and now they've scored 3 converted tries, and they're out by 18 points to 10, 7 minutes into the second half.
What a turnaround, Jeff, from the start of the first half. Riverina looked to be totally in control, but these Western Division boys, they're full of grit. They've dug in really well into the back half of the first half, early into the second half, and they're looking in cruise control now, Jeff, but they've got to keep on going.
Well, it's a very hot afternoon, and it's going to depend, because both sides have got big men, it's going to depend on how they can keep going. But both of the coaches, Paul McDonald from the Western Rams and Jared Crane from the Riverina Bulls, have been very conscious and have been using their big men very well. But we saw in the last game it was the little men from the Western Rams who started to dart, particularly in the second half, and created space for their big men, and they went on to win that 52 points to 0 against the Riverina Bulls. The Western Rams now getting a little bit of momentum on the back of that converted try. They lead by 18 points to 10, and now they get a free kick, literally, because they're 10 metres inside and they've got 6 tackles to go.
Yeah, Jeff, Dave White taking the first hit up off the tap here, and just compounding upon themselves here again, the Riverina, as we see the big number 12 here bouncing off players there, that being young Harrison going through the middle there, and he's been quite impressive since he's been on the field. Started on the bench as Blake gets the ball out here to Board pushing forward here, gives the ball to Fernley. Fernley's got space here on the outside. He's taken in a good 2-man tackle. They're still set up here, the Western Rams, but no, Fernley's dropped the ball. He started the game so well, but
just when you say a batsman's going well, he makes a mistake and he's gone. And young Fernie, he reminded me there, and I know I'm showing my age now, but of a rampant Peter Wynn, a real raw-boned running style. Took the ball forward, but good defence. But they're only 10 metres out from their own line, so the Riverina boys, they all seem to be sucking in a few seagulls. They're looking for air, and there's no rush at all to set this scrum. It's hard to call it a scrum. The ball just simply rolled back through the pack, but they'll come away. In fact, it is rolled straight back through the pack, and a break made, and wow, are we going to see something special here?
Machine's in chase.
One chase. The man coming from fullback is taken by the fullback from Western Rams, followed on by the Western Rams, who meet him and belt him to the ground 10 metres out from the line on the far side of the field. 90 metres gone and a whim, and now the Western Rams defence is at 6s and 7s. They get themselves back now. The last thing you would want to see if you're a prop forward is to stick your head up and see an opposition fullback racing 90 metres, but desperation defence there by the fullback. Ben Glasheen from the Park Spaceman has bought a little bit of time, and whilst the referees awarded a penalty to Riverina, the Western Division boys will get a chance now to suck in some air, take a few sips from the drink bottle when the runners come out. In fact, it's very much a walker that is going out in blue for the Western Rams. From this side, they'll be into the second half of the second half by the time he gets out there.
Yeah, definitely, Jeff. But we've got an injury here to one of the Western Division players. A lot of concern being shown. It looks to be Spathis, the winger. He come across in cover on the breakaway player from Riverina. I'm still trying to pick up which player it was. I think it may have been actually Ziggy Vincent that was charging onto the ball there, possibly off the scrum, and he showed plenty of speed to get right down into his own end, and it done well for Spathis and also Benny Glasheen to get across and take him down.
Well, numbers on the back certainly do nothing more than identify who the player is, because if it was young Vincent, he's a second rower, but he picked that ball up off a centre who was playing at the back of the scrum, who gave it to him inside his own try line, and he's gone straight through and run 90 metres. I didn't think he was going to win the foot race. It was going to be a matter of whether or not the fullback Glasheen could get across and make the tackle, and he did that, and to his credit he was supported by a couple of his players, one of whom, I think you said that might be Spathis, the try scorer from Condobolin,
Spathis it is,
who was injured in that tackle. He's going to come from the field. It looks like number 14, Nathan Swain from Orange Sims, will go out to the far side of the field. But I guess certainly nothing untoward in this. But whilst he's been injured and whilst he's been taken from the field, it's given the Western players the opportunity to get their breath back, to actually set their defence, because they're going to face a really full-on Western attack from the Riverina Bulls. And you can see, Mick, they've got a very deep back line, and there's some big men out there looking to punch their way through, perhaps on this right-hand side of the field.
Yeah, Jeff, they've brought nearly all the way back here to the 50-metre mark here with the centre set up. It looks like they're going to have a sweep here for the fullback if they set it up correctly. Here they come now, and it's been bumbled by the 5'8", and he's just dropped his basket, and off goes Josh Board. The foot race is on. The 4 from the Riverina is out after him, but it's Josh Board. He steps back on the inside. Out after him was Jackson Newling. Board gets the ball away, and Swain, who's just onto the field, is he going to crash over? Brought down well. Big pat on the back there to Newling. He has chased Board. He's held down, and see you later. He's just got 10 in the bin for a professional foul.
Well, it's a try-saving tackle, and there are those in the game that sometimes call for that to be a penalty try because it's prevented a certain try. But gee, how a game can change. We saw 90-metre run from the Riverina boys, an injury to a Western player. It gave them time to settle and reset their defence. Then a dropped ball, a thrilling run away by the half, Josh Board, a great chase by Jackson Newling, who pulled off the tackle, and then we see one of the Western Division players, one of the Riverina Bulls, coming off to have a spell on the sideline. Is it Mawini, is it, that carries that ball forward? He's tackled over the line, held up, and Western with 5 tackles now. They can give themselves a very good chance of
forward
going
pass
further. But it's a simple mistake. A forward pass, a metre from the line. They certainly didn't need that, and it was the forward Colby Peckham who went down. So again, an opportunity now for Riverina to suck in the breaths and try and see if they can replicate what they did last time and go 90 metres.
Very disappointing though, Jeff, for the number 4 young Newling. He done so well to get back and cover Josh Board, and then again cover young Swain, who looked certain to score a try when he was straight out onto the field and only been out there for about 90 seconds. Newling committed a professional foul. The referee, through my ear here, explained quite clearly to the captain of the Riverina side what had happened, and unfortunately for young Newling, he's going to have a cool down for 10 minutes as he just walks past us here looking bitterly disappointed, Jeff.
And very, very hot. I can tell you, we're sitting in the grandstand. There is a little bit of a breeze, and with the shade we're getting a bit cool, but gee, that's a great tackle there made by, I think it's Harrison, on the big fellow from the Riverina, Valhalla, who is a big man, but the bigger they are, the quicker they fall when you hit them around the ankles, which is what Harrison did there. And now after 4 tackles, Riverina almost to the halfway line.
Yeah, Jeff, and here come the reinforcements here for the Western Division team, the number 8 and the number 13. Nick Barlow from the Bathurst Panthers about to come back on, along with Luke Bain, the captain of the Western Division side, as we see Western Division bringing their way out of trouble here through Benji Glasheen. Hasn't had too much time to really show us what he's capable of today, Glasheen. They've held him quite well, but if he finds some space...
But gee, if there's going to be a turning point in the game, it could well be that fabulous chase that he made after Vincent ran 90 metres for Riverina, straight through the defence from a scrum on his own line, and it was Glasheen who came across, stuck with his man, and a brilliant diving low tackle as Western have the ball back up to the halfway line now. The lock forward this time in Luke Bain, the captain, leads from the front, takes the ball up 10 metres inside. Are they looking for a kick? No, it goes wide. Yes, it is a kick, but it's a pretty ugly looking kick, the ball going high and wobbling around, but well taken on the far side of the field by Curtis Fisher from Leeton, who comes forward. He's taken in a tackle, a little slow to get up as Riverina look again to set at the moment into the second half. 18-10, Western Rams lead the Riverina Bulls thanks to SLE Worldwide Australia, the major sponsor, Anytime Fitness, Victor Sports, and of course you're watching all the action on Bar TV Sports.
Yeah, Jeff, and 18 minutes to go here in the second half as we see the fullback from Riverina bust through the middle, that being Zach Rumble. He's taken down, and second effort there from Glasheen, unnotified there, but as we come out here through the six, he finds big Ziggy Vincent. Vincent's taken down under the legs there by Harry Blake, and we have a penalty here.
And I'll give some points there to the referee, Bailey Hibbert. I know they're calling for it behind us to maybe put a man in the bin. I'm not sure whether the Western Division player is going to the bin, but certainly he's going to be penalised for holding down too long. And the referee waited, I think, giving an advantage there to see whether or not a try could be scored. It wasn't, but Riverina trailing by 8 get another opportunity to put first points on the board for them in the second half. 18-10 as the number 10 takes it forward. Clegg.
Reece Clegg's taken down just short of the line. The hooker fresh onto the field there, which is young Wiscombe, just taken down short of the line. The big front row forward in here at hooker swings the ball out to the halfback. Ziggy Vincent gets the ball just short of the line. He's big and he's strong. He's taken down. And we have another penalty here from Western Division as they're having a little bit of a push and shove here, the boys, but taken back by the referee as he awards the penalty for being inside the 10. And Western Division will have to repel another challenge here from a very forward Riverina team.
And the referee would be looking at this now to see whether or not a couple of penalties close to the line in not too much space of time might well find somebody in the bin. But for the moment, it is the Riverina boys going forward through Sam Heffernan, who's taken down. Once again, the green line of defence holds, and Western Rams holding a lead of 18 points to 10. They put the player down. He's up to his feet again. Latrell shoots off, but the referee said, no, you were on the ground, you were held, take it back there and play it. So 3 tackles gone within 10 metres of the line, and this has been a fabulous defensive effort by the Western Rams if they can hold on as the prop forward Ben Arant from out on the Hay Plains takes it forward, and in fact he's gone straight through and has scored the try. 18-14 with a kick to come. And again, Michael, it comes down to that getting the ball, being able to secure it, and 3 or 4 sets in a row on the back of those penalties against the Western Rams have allowed Riverina back into the game.
Yeah, young Arant charging over there close to the line. He looked to be well in control there from the Western Division players, but he's able to been able to slam the ball down. He's left his kicker a bit of a task, but the points move out to 14 now for Riverina. Western Division leading 18 points to 14, and the call has gone out from the grandstand, and the Riverina boys have got plenty of support here behind them, Jeff.
Well, they came off a big win in round 1 against the Western Sydney Tigers last week, but it's been a much more difficult task for the Riverina boys. Gee, at times when they did what they did there, where they control the ball, they look very difficult to stop. They've scored a good try, one of the Western Division players, and it is no wonder that injuries would be starting to come, because it's been plenty hot out there, and the pace and the strength in the game has been enormous. As the 5'8" now Latrell Siegwalt is back and kicks it straight between the posts. The score 18-16 in the Laurie Daley Under-18s Country Rugby League Shield.
This is a replica of last week for the Western Division boys, Jeff. They led 18 points to, they led anyway, and were ended up with a draw. They looked in control. They don't need to switch off here. They really need to keep it going. There's still plenty of time left, 14 minutes to go on the clock, and the Riverina boys are on the charge, but the reinforcements have been sent in here for the Western Division boys, and they're going to have to get the Riverina boys down in the other end, pin them in, and try and hold on.
Well, Western kick the ball forward. It will be the Riverina boys with the sting in their tail now, having scored their first point since about probably the 10th or 11th minute. They scored 2 early tries on the back of some great possession, but they've been held scoreless. But now they're starting to punch some holes close to the rucks, and that's an excellent run there by, is it one of the replacements that's taken that ball forward? No, it is indeed the prop forward, Ben Arant from Hay. The big men today have played a great role in both the under-16s matches and in this under-18s, but now they're spinning it wide. And look, he's been probably the player of the match in a lot of ways. I think Ziggy Vincent, he's been penetrative out wide. He scored one try and he's hit hard in defence when he's had the ball. This time a hit and spin by Riverina, but a huge hit made there by Western Division.
Yeah, Jeff, the Riverina boys are starting to punch a few holes through the defence here as a kick goes up in the air. Getting down under it is the Western Division boys. The ball's been placed back and Swain is going to place it in the in goal, but the referee's called a knock on against the Riverina, and we'd be back out to the 10-metre mark for a play the ball here. Swain out on the wing. I don't know if he was brought into the game to be or named in the team to be out on the wing. Unfortunately, Spathis has gone down and won't be returning by the looks of things. So as for Swain, he's going to have to play on the wing as the Riverina boys are up off the line and looking to whack and stay in this game.
Well, he conceded a little bit of height too there, Swain. He almost scored a try the first time that he touched the ball when he came onto the field as a replacement, you said, for Spathis, and then he's come out, and now I think there's a bit of sloppy play here. What's the referee going to rule?
Knock on against Riverina.
A knock on against Riverina. So as you would expect in a game that's been played at a frantic pace, the mistake's starting to come. We're about 48 minutes into the match, about 11 or 12 minutes left on the clock on a very hot day at Spooner Oval in Forbes. The cloud has cleared, and whilst there's a little bit of a breeze, that's only advantaging you and I sitting in the grandstand, because the blokes out on the field, they are subjected to the full bore of about 32, 33 degrees.
Yeah, Jeff, it's very hot down on ground level. We're up here in the, it's like a big air conditioner up here, Jeff. It's lovely, but coming off the ball there is Harrison. He's going to be taken down about 45 metres away from his own line. Western Revs need to get down and play some footy in their own end. It's become a bit of an arm wrestle through the middle. Luckily for them, they're on top 18 points to 16 as Fernley takes the ball forward again. He's been ultra impressive, young Fernley today. Probably the best on ground for his team so far. And him and Vincent would be fighting out for man of the match. You'd think as Newling comes onto the field, the man that had 10 in the bin is about to take the field for the Riverina side.
Well, he'll be happy to see that not only did his time in the sin bin not cost his team. In fact, they scored a try and converted, but now Western are going to score their own try, and that is bittersweet for Newling. It's gone on the far side of the field, and the try scorer, Zarin Galea from Dubbo Sims, that really sort of came out of nothing. A couple of hit-ups on this side of the field by the big men. You mentioned Harrison, you mentioned Fernley, but then good width created the space out wide, and with that one man, Newling, still 30 seconds away from getting back onto the field, they were able to take advantage, and Galea had plenty of work to do when he received the ball, but he cut back in and brought the ball around under the post, and Naden should knock this one over for Western Division to go out to an 8-point lead with about 9 minutes left in the big match, the under-18s Country Rugby League Laurie Daley Shield fixture at Spooner Oval in Forbes.
Yeah, Jeff, he was like lightning, young Galea out there once he got the ball in hand and took off around. He's a Narromine junior now playing with Dubbo Sims, I'm led to believe, and doing a good job here for Western Division out on the wing as we see young Board going down with a bit of cramping on halfway. He's been quite good today, the halfback from the Western Division team, Jeff.
Well, it's been a game, well, it's had a bit of everything, hasn't it? There's been some really great driving forward by both sets of forwards. Both packs have gone at each other throughout the game, and there's been a few holes have opened up, but generally it's been great crash tackling by both packs of forwards. But when they've had the opportunity to go wide, I think just looking at the Western Rams, they just look to be a little bit slicker out there, and the halves in particular, their ability through Board, the halfback, and Blake at 5'8" to get the ball wide and quickly, as they did just then out on the right-hand side, led to the try. It's been converted, and the score now is 24 points to 16 in favour of Western Rams.
Kick-off here, Jeff. Both starting front rowers back on the field. That includes Barlow and also David White. Be interesting to see which way Riverina will go here off the kick-off. As the ball just falls off the tee there on on the kick of the half back here for Riverina. It looks like he's going out Davey White's way. There he is. So White will bring this one back off the dead ball line as White charges back into the defence, looking to bend the line, and that he does. He bumps off a couple and good metres there, coming back and gets an offload on play on. Haycock gets the ball away to the big second rower there, which is number 11 in Stimson. Stimson's taken down just near the 40-metre line as the ball's played back to Haycock. Blake gets the ball, shovels it on out wide to his captain Bain, and Bain says, give me the ball, I'm going forward, and forward he does. He's palmed off about 3 or 4 players, and he's taken down on the other side of the Riverina try line.
Yeah, that was an interesting run, wasn't he? He was coming across, running sort of sideways on an angle, but he had a good big right-hand palm, and that's taken them now, Western, back into the territory they want to be. They want to be on the 5th tackle, kicking the ball maybe along the ground and even purchasing a bit of time. David White it is there that took that one forward, and the big men, as we saw at the end of the first half, they seem to be in their own at the moment. Western, that try by the winger out wide has given them plenty of extra energy, and they take it now. 4 tackles gone.
Yeah, Glasheen shoveling the ball off there to Galea to be taken, and that's on the 5th tackle. It comes across to Blake. Blake launches one across field. Here's Naden going up for the ball as Newling, who's just back on the field, gets the ball back, flicks it back to his winger, and they've done well to diffuse the situation there, the Riverina.
Well, the Riverina boys, we saw the 5/8 kicking before Latrell Seagwalton, very much the AFL style of the kick, and we just saw then Newling, who'd come back onto the field again, demonstrating some of those aerial skills of an AFL player, up and retrieving, and now Riverina, they have to score twice in this last 8 minutes if they're to retrieve this game. They won handsomely last week in round 1 of the Laurie Daley Shield. Western Division were forced into an 18-all draw against Penrith, but now it's Western Division who are leading by 8 points as Riverina take the ball into the half of the Greens.
Yeah, the Western Division boys, they've done actually quite well, Jeff. They were struggling there in the first half. As we come back on the last, it comes back to halfback, which is McLaughlin, to put a little chip in over the top. It's picked up beautifully. Lalahia's got the ball. He's one-on-one with Glasheen. Flicks the ball back on the inside there. The Riverina boys are going to be held up short of the line on the last tackle, but a brilliant bit of play there from McLaughlin. Lalahia got the ball. He looked home for all money. Glasheen shut him down. A ball back on the inside there to a retreating player, and Western Division have diffused, and yet again another situation, Jeff.
Well, I think if you look at the replay on tonight, if you've been taping this on Bar TV, you will see that there's been 2 occasions in the second half when Western Division looked certain to cough up a try, and on both occasions they've been able to retrieve the situation, and on both occasions it's been that cover defence that's failed to stop. They've just kept coming, and even if the first man went down, there was still somebody there, and that says a lot about spirit in a side that coming off an 18-all first round draw against Penrith Panthers, and then 10-0 down here in the first half, that have fought their way back to lead by 24 to 16, and the ball goes down, and you can hear behind me. Yes, that's the Riverina supporters behind us here with about 6 minutes left on the clock.
Jeff, they need to score now, the Riverina boys, because they're 2 tries away from winning this game. Just over 5.5 minutes left to go in this game. They'll have to set up here out the back line. You'd think they'd definitely have to be the next to score, and it'll have to be a spirited Western Division side to hold them out.
Well, the scrum, as I've said all day, they don't take a lot of style about it, and they're certainly not in a hurry to get it, but they have gone across the field this time, and the fullback Zach Rumble steps off, his left foot is taken, and it was the 5/8 then Harry Blake from Ningen who was the man down low. Western have 4 more tackles to hold on, and the Riverina side looking for a converted try to get them back into the game. They trail by 8 at the moment as the little hooker goes out of dummy half. Jeremy Winscombe, he's taken a couple of metres out. Where are they going this time? A lovely short close pass, but he's going nowhere. Taken by the green defence right on the line, and Riverina still looking for that try as it goes out to the 5/8 Latrell, and he puts the ball into the hands of the centre Newling, who goes to ground. They're on the last play. What are they going to do? It looks like a wide pass. It's gone out there in the first half, just on half time. Western scored a try off a kick very similar to that, where the ball was taken by an on-rushing Western Division winger, Dennis Spathis. This time it's been coughed up by Riverina, and Western Division will amble their way back out to the 20-metre line, and one would think there won't be too much fancy football here in this set of 6.
Watch the defence though, Jeff. This Riverina side will get in and try and whack as Swain takes the first one up off the kick-off, and he's met by two big boys from the Riverina. Haycock gets the ball out to Fernley. Fernley's met in a good strong tackle. Fernley's keeping that consistency up. A nice solid gain, and as Haycock gets into dummy half, feeds the ball on. No, he doesn't. He's taken it himself. He comes out via the centres and is taken down there by Newling, who's had a bit of a break. He's fresh back on the field, and he's got a penalty against him here, Newling. And this is going to get the Western Division some time with ball in hand, which they're going to love.
Yeah, I think just a little over-enthusiastic there, young Newling. He's certainly given it his all, almost scored a try a couple of minutes ago, but as that clock ticks down and Western Division begin to chew into the time, they'll take the ball from the halfway. We're inside the last 4 minutes now of this match at Spooner Oval in Forbes in the Laurie Daley Under-18s Country Rugby League Championships. It's Western Rams leading by 24-16 after they led 12-10 at half-time, coming from 10-0 down, and that one was well saved, I would say, by one of the Riverina players.
Yeah, Brock Naden tipped up just a little bit over the top there as the referee's calling a couple of players out being offside. But Dave White takes the ball. He gets the offload away. Here's Barlow. Barlow through the middle. Steps back off his inside. Finds Bain. Bain's got space and it's forward. Well, Western Division had the chance to seal the deal there.
He's just held up in the tackle a little bit, and I think the delay meant that he then gave it to a player who was offside. Gee, White's been impressive, hasn't he? A couple of times in this half, in traffic with 2 or 3 defenders around him, he's been able to offload. And if you've got 3 defenders out of play, gee, it opens some gaps.
Definitely. I was lucky enough to coach Dave last year in the Woodbridge Cup representative side, and he's a very bright talent. He played 5'8" in that side last year, and here he's lining up in the front row for a Western Division side as the scrum wasn't fed quite well there. An incorrect feed there, but they're going to get a second chance here at feeding at the Riverina boys, but this is just chewing up time with only a minute 50 to go, Jeff, and they need a miracle here, the Riverina, to take this one as Newling gets the ball, heads out towards his wing partner where he's taken down 30 metres away from his own line. 1 minute and 30 seconds to go as Baravala is hitting a big hit from Bain. Bain is loving that too, standing over the top of his counterpart, and Baravala loved it equally as much as these Western Division boys are really digging in these last few minutes. Baravala says, give me some more, and Bain comes in again and he goes straight over the top of him, Baravala, and that just shows.
He was hit by the 2 Bs, wasn't he? Bain and Barlow, they stood up, they met the big fellow, and he didn't chirk, and he was up there again. This time they go wide, and it's out to the fullback, Zach Rumble from Cootamundra. He gets it wide again. They stop 1, stop 2. Inside the 30-metre line, the ball popped out the back, and the Western boys, some of them running back, facing their own line as the ball stays alive. 26 points.
Newling's away.
Newling away and scores out wide. He's got plenty of spunk about him, young Newling. He's gone through, scored the try, pinged the ball in to say, there you go, fellas. But I think it's too little too late. The siren will sound while they take this kick. 24 points to 20, kick to come.
Gee, you could nearly write a book on Newling's day today, Jeff. He's just had an up and down sort of a day. Like you said, the clock may run out here on the Riverina boys, although they're going to get a kick in. I can't quite see the clock. It looks around the 50-second mark as the 5'8" Latrell takes the kick, and he has nailed it. He's taken one step in and absolutely nailed it. And I'm not sure if the ref has called time off here.
We're going to see.
I think he has.
This could be the longest march. Western Division, it's a very slow jog back to halfway. I think the siren will go.
Oh, no, there it is.
It has gone. And Western Division, after being forced into a draw last week, have beaten the Riverina Bulls in a fantastic game of rugby league at Spooner Oval in Forbes. A try right on the bell by Jackson Newling from Wagga Brothers brought them back into the game, and a very quick conversion by Latrell Siegwalt brought them within 2 points, but that was the end of the game. And a game that really could be divided into, I know it's a cliche, but 4 quarters. The first 10 minutes was very even, and then we saw Riverina out to 10-0. 10 minutes before half-time, it was 12-10 to Western Rams, and then into the second half, Western Rams out by 18-10, 18-16, 24-16 when the winger on the far side, Zarin Galea, scored, and then the final score, 24 points to 22. Fabulous game of rugby league.
Yeah, Jeff, two high-quality games we've seen here. Western Division on their home turf have been successful in both. Best of luck to all the teams that played here today heading into the future. Some quality football, some quality athletes out there, some kids that are going to absolutely shine throughout their competitions into this year, and it's great to see football back so early in the year, Jeff. We're only just into March, but isn't it lovely?
And let's put a shout out too to the young officials that have been drawn from a development pool. They've refereed, I thought, very well in these games. Next week, the Riverina Bulls are at home to Monero Colts at Wagga Wagga. Those matches being played next Sunday, while the Western Rams travel to the coast. They play Illawarra South Coast Dragons at Fig Tree, 12:40 in the under-16s and 1:50 in the under-18s. My thanks to Michael Dumacy, who's joined me this afternoon, SLE Worldwide Australia, the major sponsor of this, Laurie Daley Shield in the under-18s, Anytime Fitness, Victor Sports, and a final word, Michael Dumacy, before we on Bar TV Sports finish our coverage for this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Well called, Jeff, and look forward to following this throughout Bar TV as it leads on and progresses into the semi-finals, and all the best to the teams and all the best to you, Jeff.
Well, while our coverage concludes here, the rugby league action continues. The under-23s, Western against the Riverina Bidgie Bulls, they're called, and then two Western Women's League Tackle Nines matches to be played this afternoon at Spooner Oval in Forbes. This is Jeff Mann.